6:30, so we'll call the meeting to order. If we could please start with the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. Do we have any additions to the agenda tonight? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So now we will open up for public comments. If there's anyone who would like to discuss anything that is not on the agenda, please come forward. State your name and address. Thank you.
I don't think that mic is on. Jaguar Communication had taped something to my door that they were going to ruin my yard and increase the value of my property by possibly 3%. In April of 2018, Jonathan Rod, the sales director, the director of sales and marketing, quoted the service for our city at about $50 a month. So when I came to the open house and inquired about that, the salesperson came up to me and he said, I said, I'm only interested in the internet. He said, well, that starts at $75. And I was a little shocked that it came up 50% in 4 months. Mm-hmm.
In 4 months, when I've had new telecom since September of 2012 for $44.95, and in the whole for 6 years, it has not come up one penny. Mm-hmm. The second comment is the City of Mayor public notice. Because I was the only resident here, and I was very grateful that John Anderson so graciously gave me the entire packet to follow, which I did. But I wondered if it was only meant, is it only meant to address the developer's concern about the trail that would go in front of his house, but his house isn't in the City of Mayor, and it's on the other side of the river. It's actually in Hollywood Township, I believe. From the maps that you gave me, everything was so complete, but I thought John Anderson handled it very nicely, but I just wondered if, because I have neighbors who said they never got what I got, which was a hand-lettered envelope with the public hearing notice.
Well, so you would have gotten one if you were in 350 feet of the location.
I understand that. So I'm wondering if you have the affidavit of the mailing.
Well, I have what I mailed out, for sure. We did put it in the paper as well, but yeah, I do have the 350 border that I sent it to.
Okay. And okay, just so I'm clear, is this the public hearing for the planning commission from last week? Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I followed all the well-designed maps. There's a third item to keep this within 5 minutes, and that is the fact that I'm on the internet is somebody who complained about my brand new neighbor parking on the grass between our two properties, and I only came to the city to ask if there was an ordinance. So now at this time, I'm asking if I could please have a copy of the city ordinances, since my name is published in here, and I now have an unhappy neighbor.
Where's your name published, or where did you find it?
In the minutes.
Oh.
Well, I mean, every meeting is public, and so everything is, we videotape every meeting. We also take minutes for every meeting. So that's kind of, I guess, what happens when somebody does come forward at a meeting, then it does get recorded.
I'd really come into the office, with it to ask, because
It wouldn't
my
have-
brand new neighbor said, the city told me I could put a, parking thing that would encroach on the, easement between our yards, if I came in with him to the city to
Oh.
say it was okay with
To
me.
sign with it?
I don't
Okay.
think I have that authority.
Yeah.
And, so,
Okay. And,
but it says that I would, the complaint, and follow up with Ms. Timmers with how it was resolved. Well, I never got the follow-up, so how do I get that?
okay, we can get you the ordinance. Any ordinance you need, absolutely. Are they online?
They are online.
And let's get her a hard copy anyways, Maggie, if you
Yeah,
could,
please.
and maybe send it to
I'll
her, have
tell you,
her come pick it
it's
up.
tough for me. I'm
Yep.
pushing 82,
Right,
and
right.
it's a little hard for me to keep with rheumatoid arthritis,
Yeah,
trying to get on all that and get down to the right.
yeah, perfect. Yeah, if you
Thank
could help
you.
her with Maggie with that and get that to her, that'd be great. Thank you, Kay. All right, anyone else for public comments?
Just talk about the January, right? When I went to the open house too, and I was a little surprised. Some of it is modem charges that they're charging for, and then there was an additional fee if you were doing internet only they explained to recoup some of their cost for installing mobile micros, so.
And I asked that as well, 'cause it kinda surprised me too. And he did say that they are working on a package that is gonna be less than 75 up and down, and that's gonna be a lot cheaper. 'Cause I did mention, what about people who don't have 4 or 5 kids in the house and don't need all that? And so they are working on a much smaller package that's gonna be a lot less expensive, with no cancellation fees to move up and down and around since you're a customer, so.
Did they leave any additional material to look at, or for people who didn't go to the meeting, couldn't make it over Labor Day weekend? All right. 'Cause I had someone, ask me a similar question, today about a note that they had left on their door. As long as we're going to be digging up your yard and improving your property value, whatever. And I had to explain that they're not digging up your yard, they're gonna be in the easement.
Right away.
Kind of
So-
tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
Right.
It's certainly.
Oh, I see. I have
Everybody-
not,
Yeah,
I didn't
everybody-
see it.
It's certainly one, yeah, it was.
Everybody should have got.
Yeah, I didn't get one, which isn't unusual.
Yep.
I'll have to check.
They were
I have several.
cleaning the front door.
One of them has a hornet's nest by it, so
Might have been that
I'll
one.
look for it there.
All right, any other public comments? Then we'll close public comments, move to consent agenda. Is there anything that needs to be pulled for further discussion on the consent agenda?
No, Janelle, did you switch the minutes? Okay.
You should have a copy of the corrected minutes.
So we do have
What was
corrected minutes. Do you want to quick go over what they were for people who haven't seen them?
Yep.
Just make
So,
sure we have the right ones.
yep, so there were some corrections that staff was notified about with regards to the minutes, from the August 27th, 2018 meeting under section 5, discussion on Second Street construction traffic. That was incorrect information, so that got redrafted. And then under the Park Commission, discussion on Westridge Park amenities, it was Mayor Dodge that made the motion, to purchase the Westridge Park equipment only, and with the installation to be done by Public Works. It was not Councilmember Stevie McFadden.
Yeah, I did catch that too, I forgot to. I'm like, wow, I'm losing it, 'cause I cannot remember, I would not have done that.
All right, anything else that needs to be
All right.
pulled? I'd like to pull the Minnesota Service cleaning contract once again and move that to 6A2, please. Just for a quick discussion, make sure we're aligned on that.
Leaving it where it is.
Anything else? I'll look for motion to approve the consent agenda with the, changes to the August 27th City Council meeting minutes and removal of the Minnesota Service cleaning contract for further discussion. We have a motion, we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Megan, that'll take us to 6A1, the utility rate study.
Okay, so Steve McDonald's here with us tonight to go over our utility rate study. As you know, we went with Abdo to do our rate study and Steve is here to kind of go over those results with us.
All right, so we have it presented in draft, and, just overall what we were, our objective was to show the cash flow for the water, sewer, and storm funds over the next 10 years, with some assumptions by the city. So the key assumptions that really drive the results are growth, so the number of houses expected to come into the system, and your capital planning. So I'll go over some of those things. Those are really the major items. And then both the water and the sewer fund are healthy from a cash position standpoint, but when we first talked about this, we saw the opportunity to gradually reduce the levy in the sewer fund that had been out there. So that was one of the objectives of the study, was to show, can we to reduce that tax levy obligation. So let's see, if we go to, let's go to the assumptions page, Maggie. That's on page 7.
They're not numbered that way.
Okay,
Yeah, next page after this one.
51, okay.
So the tables that she's going by was all the data, all of the users and the average usage. So we considered all the average usage through a major month, a minor month, and moderate usage months. And that helped us determine average usage and then helped us project out revenue. So in the water fund, we assume that fees, the revenue is increased 3% annually. The rates are increased 3% annually. Operating expense inflation is 3%. We're not expecting major changes in the operating at this time. New connections, we're estimated at 35 new residential connections annually through the 10-year period of the study. And then also a 3% inflation increase in connection fees. And one of the things with connection fee changes is that it needs to have a relationship to costs that are there. So there's a nexus between revenue and expense, and we consider that as part of our analysis. Planned acquisition costs, the city has a CIP. We took the data from that. If we had a major purchase, like I think the water treatment plant, I'll go through those. That would be assumed to be offset with bond proceeds. And then the target, this again is another major assumption. Throughout the projection, we want to have a working capital target, so every year we have enough cash to pay the bills and whatever the debt service needs are. And so we set a target based on 100% of your upcoming year's debt service, and then 50% of the following year's operating expenses. So every month we have enough to cover that debt service and operating. And that also that we're building a reserve for the capital costs as well. Okay, and then the sewer fund is the same thing, but the property tax levy it's actually $283,000 in 2018, or actually that was in 17. We expect that we can increase that or decrease that $10,000 a year from the scheduled levy. So you're able to levy a lot less than what the original bond issue had called for based on this study. Okay, and then stormwater, in this fund, based on, the key thing here is that you're, assuming $200,000 of projects, each year for the next 5 years. And based on the charges that you have there, that wouldn't be sufficient to cover that cost. And so there's a much more significant proposed increase, but your storm right now for residential is $2, per period. And so we'll go through what's proposed to get that sufficient revenue to cover those costs, okay? Okay, let's see, capital on next page here, page 8. The items that we're talking about, for funding through capital costs are well number 3 in 2021 for $400,000, and then, water treatment, expansion, or additional item, $100,000, and then a water tower for $1.2 million. Okay, sewer fund, items there, slip lining throughout the next couple of years, the water treatment expansion in 2021, some lift station, items there as well. So, pretty significant costs over the next few years. And then stormwater, project costs from 2019 to 2022 of $200,000 a year. Okay, let's see, and then let's go to the bottom of page 9. So here, what we're projecting for connection charges, you see the $35 new units for the next 10 years, and then the increase in connection charges creates the revenue at the bottom. So currently, if we have 35 units in 2019, it generates $162,000 in water connection charge. By 2027, the same number of units generate $206,000. Okay. All right. So the summary of the water. Again, our goal is to hit the cash target, and so we didn't do a scenario that has no increases. Just having an inflation increase each year makes sense. And so currently your usage based on 3,500 gallons is $30.26, and with 3% increase that goes up to $31.16. So we've identified what the monthly increase is and the annual increase for that 3%. So for a 3,500 gallon user, it's 91 cents a month and $10.89 for the year. Okay, next page, or towards the bottom. So water commercial, your average commercial user is was 35,000 gallons, so you can see the effect there. Okay, now comparison with other communities, page 11. If you want to go down just a little bit more so you can see the graph. So, again, where you stand right now with a 3,500 gallon user is $30.26. You can see from your comparable communities, it would be right in line with the 3 other presented. Carver's a little bit less, but I have inside knowledge that theirs is changing here in the next, for 1/1 of 19. That's going up significantly.
You just said they're gonna go up, but yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so the intent of this graph is to highlight our revenue and expense. So the green line across the top shows the projected revenue over the next 10 years. The expense is broken down between the operating expense and debt service. The red line is the operating expenses, and the blue is debt service. So you can see as we get out to 2025, the bond issue reduces, so our debt service is less. The key thing here is that we have a gap between revenue and expense, so we're generating enough revenue from the system to cover our operating expenses. And you can see from the next graph down below that this highlights, the red line highlights our target cash reserve. So that, the red line each year, again, based on that 100% of debt service and 50% of operating expenses, that's what makes up the red line. The cash balance exceeds that target in each of the years presented. So that's where we want to end up, is at least at the target cash. Everything above that would be considered reserve for capital. So you're going to have capital costs that would come in. You can see you have sufficient cash at the end of the projection period.
So everything above the red line is our targeted cash rate, above the red line.
Everything above here would be,
Yep.
would be additional reserve, capital reserve. Okay, so basically the summary is in the water fund, a 3% rate increase, inflationary increase each year will be sufficient to fund the costs that are identified.
For all three?
No, just the water.
Just water.
Yep.
So factoring in that 150%, the intent of that is to cover up at the beginning where you had the water tower in there, the big expenses,
Yep, and
all the capital.
Yep. And but with the water fund, we're assuming, debt issuance for that water tower. So $1.3 million, is covered by a bond issue. Okay? We wouldn't have enough cash to cover the pay-as-you-go on that bond issue. Okay, sewer fund, also, same process here, is that we, a 3% increase in rates every year, and bonding for that, wastewater treatment plant would be sufficient to cover the operating needs of the fund. So, now, we will see in the comparable users, your sewer rates are quite a bit higher than the comparable communities that we have. That, here, at 2018, based on that 3,500 gallon usage, you're substantially higher than Watertown, Norwood, Cologne, and Carver. But again, Carver's going up, this upcoming year, and I would assume the other cities also will be facing the same kind of thing.
When we talked about this before, and Kyle, maybe you can answer it, it's hard to necessarily compare apples to apples because we have different processes and systems, correct?
Correct, yeah, we have different treatment processes and stuff, and, yeah, I'm assuming Carver's gonna go up, I'm not sure what their plans they have for plans or treatment, but I'm assuming Watertown's probably gonna be going up too, because I know they're doing a big expansion to their wastewater treatment facilities. And same with, Cologne and Norwood, I think it was Norwood's plastic facility, and I think Cologne is a feed facility, but I think, yeah, it all depends on.
So I just wanted to make sure that it's not 'cause we wanna charge them more, it's just costs more and we have probably less.
Operating expenses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More miles of sewer line.
I mean, that's what you look at as you compare neighboring cities, but you also have to know that each city processes their sewer and water differently in different types of plants that they've built.
Well, and how much capacity do you have in the
Yep.
current system too? You probably have quite a bit more
We have,
capacity.
yeah, we're kinda ahead of the curve when it comes to growth. A lot of these cities are kinda behind, trying to catch up, so.
Yeah, and it's, that our goal here is to try to, limit the increases in the
Correct.
usage. And because you have a debt levy out there, which is somewhat unusual, for cities. When you finance the first treatment plant, having a bond issue that required a tax levy would be a little bit different than a lot of other cities that we see. Okay, so let's see, next, gonna go down to okay, so here, same graph as the water fund. So with a 3% increase, the things that you see different here are the, debt service requirements, are quite a bit higher. But if we do a 3% increase, by the time we get to 2025, we have that gap between the revenue and the total expenses. So we're making progress on closing that gap. Okay, if you go to the next one. And also here, that if you just looked at the cash balance at the end of 2018, this again was when we started the discussion about this. It's easy to take a look at that cash balance and say everything's good, we can ignore the future, but this really shows that we have to keep that 3% increase each year just to stay consistent with that target. And when you get out here like this, every major project that you're gonna do is probably gonna be debt financed, because you haven't built much of a reserve. So, we're able to, show that you could reduce your tax levy by $10,000 a year over what's scheduled, with this summary. So I think that's important to take out of this too. Okay? Okay, now stormwater, is quite a bit different. Based on, if $200,000 is the number, and maybe a recommendation out of this too is to firm up those capital needs, because that's what's driving the need for these increases. You know, you're starting with a low stormwater fee relative to other cities and especially other ones that I see throughout the metro. But, the key thing here is that we're proposing that in order to hit that target, 100% increase, will go from $2 to $4, and then a 40%, 25, 25, 25 each year, to get to, cover the cash needs of the stormwater. Now, $200,000 project could totally change that. You know, pulling one of those projects out would reduce that number.
Right. And I talked to Dave, 'cause I think currently the stormwater plan, capital plan is in our our wastewater CIP is my understanding, and maybe Kyle knows more than me, there's something that has to do with a drainage line that needs to be replaced in this.
I know, well, Martini's always talked about trying to get the water from south end of town to the north of the town to the river. There's a tile line that runs underneath, kind of by the fire station, underneath the bullet storage and everything, that if it were to fail, we'd be in really big trouble. I'm not entirely sure what the whole project entails. Maggie just kind of brought it up to me a couple weeks ago, so. That'd be pretty much digging up and replacing that section of line or trying to find a way for water lines to go. And we don't really have access to it either. That's kind of another situation, but.
So that was something that he was saying we should budget for. I don't know when the project exactly would be at this time.
Yeah. And I think that this is a draft, so again, what we wanna do is firm up those capital numbers and make sure that they relate to specific projects, because then we can adjust the increase based on that. But, you know, it's like we're talking about $2 to $4 and we're still at average or under, so 100% increase sounds bad, but when you look at it relative to the project costs.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so here, again, you're on the low end of comparable communities, and, so seeing that 2018 number, $2 going to $4, keeps you still within the averages. Okay. Graph here, so this is the only, of the three funds, one where we're showing two scenarios. So, because the first one it isn't workable, you can see that the expenses far exceed the revenue. Okay, so if you go to the next one, if you make that change, now you've got a gap between the revenue and the expense, to cover the capital costs. And if you go to the next page, this is the scenario if you don't do the significant increases, if you only increase 3% a month. Our target is here, and our cash balance goes negative to $1.2 million. So that's a big number, and it's really driven by that capital. And so if we make that change, then we can stay consistent with the cash target. And I think because these were annual operating expense projects, there wasn't a bond issue assumed for these. So you could kind of mitigate the effect of it with the bond issue too. So again, I think the action out of here is get the firm capital, and then does bonding need to be done for any of those projects?
Yeah.
But this really gives you a visual of cause and effect of some of the things that are out there. And so, let's see, next page. This shows the first scenario, we don't do anything different other than a 3% increase. This is what a bill looks like, $39.48 for water, or by the end of 2027, 50 something and $2.61, just 3% increases. So if you go to the next, in about $85 average bill. So here it goes up to about 110, I suppose. 40, yeah, 110. And you can see that storm average bill, what that looks like. through that yellow bar at the top.
Right.
Okay. All right, and so all of the detail that drives it are in these schedules. I won't go through these, but, you know, the graphs really highlight, what's happening through all of those schedules. So, it's a lot of information to kind of take in, but I think the key things are water and sewer look like, if we follow the assumptions that are in there, a 3% increase should help the cash flow be sufficient, and then the storm is the one that needs some additional study and work. That, if I was gonna summarize it into, you know,
Right.
3 points, that's it.
And the assumptions, I mean, there's fluctuation in there,
Yeah.
you know, it seems the residents that seem a little low at 35.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah, and we talked about that. I mean, this year we've had over that. And so we thought, you know, you never know what's gonna happen, so it's kinda good to go with a lower number just to make sure your numbers stay on track. But
Yeah.
we kinda thought like, okay, what happens in the next few years if something does happen and it does go down again, but.
Well, we just have to look to 10 years ago and see what happens. I mean,
Right.
that was the time that planning for the expansion, I would imagine from '06 to '11, whatever was assumed was in reality was probably half or less than that, so. But it definitely could outperform, where I don't think that you're hurt in the water and sewer. In the storm, you just have to look at the relative amount, you know, what's painful out of pocket. Is $2 a month significant or not?
Right.
But water and sewer, if we had, more than, say we had 70, well, I think the plan of attack then could be, in the sewer fund, you'd reduce that tax levy even more. You know, your goal would be to eliminate that tax levy as soon as you can.
I think that's a big goal.
Now, is this study something where we can adjust as we go? Like, you would give us, like, the template for this, or we'd have to do another study in 5 years if things completely changed?
Yeah, I think we have, the model's easy to update every year. I mean, there's a lot of inputs into it, and so you might want us to help through that process, but it would be way less significant of an investment.
'Cause I know we did something similar and water was looking horrible, but now it's not looking as bad as it was when we talked about this several years ago, so things can change.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's, again, I would recommend keeping it up every year, because
Yep.
really it should just be dropping in 2018 results when we get to the end and see where we close what we projected. And then anything major that pops up can be modeled in there too.
Right. Yeah, even if it's not at least a minimum every 2 years, I think we have to, for sure, to keep up on that, as things fluctuate.
Well, right, then, you know, is that 3% needed, or is it not
Yeah.
for that next
That's
year?
another
I
good
mean,
point.
Right.
and if we spent this money to invest in this tool, I hope that we can still use it for the years to come before we have to redo it all again because it's a
Yeah.
different timeframe.
Yep, there's, certainly can be, maintained.
Okay. Any other questions?
Can I make a quick comment?
For Steve? Yeah.
Just, so everyone's aware, the 35 is later, the Met Council population projections, if you average it out over the next 22 years to 24, is actually 25 per year.
Oh, really?
We are exceeding that right now, and I do think that might be low, but if you look at a long-term period, that's what the Met Council is projecting.
Okay, good.
Just be aware.
Thank you.
And I have one other question, does this also take into account sewer and water trunk charges for new developments? Is this one of that same fund?
It's just the whack and sack all in the, yep.
So that would be additional money though, that would be out there?
Additional revenue.
Revenue, correct.
Okay, good. Anything else? Steve? Well, thank you.
All right,
I appreciate it, yeah, I
Thank you.
appreciate it. We'll certainly go through this and,
Finalize it with, when you get back to me on the storm.
yep,
Okay.
perfect. Thank
All right,
you.
have a great
Thanks
night.
for coming out.
Thank you. That was
All right, that'll take us to 6A2, the Minnesota Services, contract.
Okay, so in your packet is an updated agreement. I did reach out to Minnesota Services. We did kind of, based on, last meeting, we did get some information that Kids Company would no longer be with the city or using our facility anymore. And so we decided, I think, that it would be best just to kind of go to 1 day a week. They did requote it, and they did let me know that this is their minimum charge that they charge, for, does that make sense, like, for any type of service. So this is kind of the lowest they can go, for that 1 day. I know that the other one, I don't have it right in front of me, I think it was like $567 for 2 days, or around there. So I don't know if there's any thoughts on that. And then it would also be, when we do have larger events, it would be as needed as well.
Okay, and they can come in at,
I think they have
short
like,
notice and,
yeah, we usually know at least 3 months ahead of time when these big events are. Or don't we usually plan them out as far out as possible, so.
We don't get very many that are short, like bigger events
or
that are short.
so do they come in after any event, or do we wait and see how the people who rented it cleaned and then, or do they come in after to do things anyways?
Well, with our previous contracts, they would come in after, for sure.
Okay.
And kind of pick up,
Those restrooms,
right.
vacuuming, okay.
They could come in like on Monday as a regular fee.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we could set it up where after the weekend, there's always a Monday that they
The
clean.
Mondays to clean. Okay. All right, thank you, that helps, and I appreciate getting down to one. You feel comfortable with that? From a
Yeah.
staff standpoint?
Yeah, I looked at the budget, and it's compared to, I mean, I know it's different, from what we're used to. I think we were paying about $375 before. I know we were getting a little bit more out of it. But budget-wise, yeah, it would be about a $40 increase.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'll look for a motion to approve the Minnesota Services cleaning contract.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Motion carries. All right, that'll take us to 6B1, employee benefits.
Okay, so I did provide a little bit of supplemental information. So I just want to go through this, kind of where we're currently standing. Right now, I'll start with health benefits. We currently offer a little background. So I know we've talked about at the city council and then at the personnel committee kind of updating our benefits. I know with the admin study, they did offer some suggestions. We've been talking about it for a few months now at the personnel level, just trying to figure out a way to make our benefit package a little bit more competitive for current staff and then future staff. So for health benefits, a little review, we do offer like $800 right now towards single and family coverage premium. Historically, our city staff has grown within the last few years. We originally, a few years ago, had only 2 full-time employees, and now we're up to 4 full-time employees. There's also been a shift in kind of employees. We're seeing more with dependents, and we have seen cases where employees have chosen not to put their dependents on the insurance due to not being able to afford it, or we've also seen that there have been potential employees that have not taken a position because of the health benefit package. So, going over 2018, last year's total premiums for employees and dependents was around 30,000. That's what we paid out. The city budgeted for 38,400, so we weren't using about 8,400 of that. And that's based on how employees have chosen to use the health coverage. So so moving forward, so that shows kind of that there's a little bit of a balance that's not being used. This year, proposed for 2019, the city is proposing to, or staff, or the personnel committee and council has kind of discussed last year going to an HSA or a high deductible plan for all employees. So the plan that was presented, it does show that there would be like a 17.30 premium. Premiums are always going up, but this year it just happens that it's a 17.3% across the board increase from our last year's plan to our current plan. So I just wanted to show that with that 17.30% increase, that kind of brings just the premiums up $4,500. To kind of get, based on talking with employees and looking at what their needs are, there would be a change to adding dependents, and that would be an additional $19,500. So that whole total would be about $24,000 to our budget. And then with an HSA contribution, another $10,500. So we budgeted $38,400 last year, and then this year the budget would be around $60,500. And so I wanted to put together some facts about, what that means. So the difference would be about $22,100 from last year's budgeted amount. And so what I did was I put together kind of like a plan of how that extra $22,100 would get paid for. Just comparing what our city does compared to other cities in Carver County, all the other, I think I did 8 of the other communities in Carver County, and everybody had a high deductible HSA plan. And so I think that's kind of what the personnel committee and myself felt made sense, was to, instead of having the flat rate of $800, just because everybody's situation is different. Some people cover a spouse, some people are single coverage, some people have dependents, and so that $800 tends to kind of benefit some people, but then also it kind of hinders some people from having their family or dependents on the plan. So going to a more of a percentage-based coverage, I put together the 100%, the city would still kind of cover the employee 100%, and then I put together what it would look like to have 80% dependent coverage, 90%, and 100%. And so if you look at what I put together, the city would still cover that the last year's budget of $38,400, but then increase, if they covered 80% of the dependents, $16,800 for a total of $55,200 per year, and then the employees would pay the remaining $5,300 towards the premium. And it kind of follows that. I know the information's kind of in front of everybody. So it kind of follows that pattern. And I did the same with dental as well. Right now, we only have individual employees using our dental, but if we were to have more of a plan that would promote family usage, then we also looked at 100% employee, 80% dependent, or 190, or 100. And there's just different ways of how, like, looking at how that our budget increase would be there too. Life insurance would stay the same. We do a $15,000 coverage at $3 per month for each employee, so it's $144 per year for the city, and then an employee can elect additional coverage. And then I know one recommendation from our admin study, and then just looking at neighboring cities, was to consider long-term and short-term disability, and that was quoted at $40 per month per employee for that. So that total budget's about $1,920. And so I know that's a lot of information together. A carrier. So we have preferred one for health insurance. We have Delta Dental for dental, Minnesota Life for life, and then we would I have the long-term, short-term disability. I don't have the name.
So do you have a
right offhand.
spreadsheet that shows?
But I do have,
Can I just make one note on the dental?
Mhm.
Anyone under 18 is required to already have dental coverage through your medical plan, like that's required. Like
Okay.
right now, today, you know, like when Obamacare went in.
Mhm.
So, if anybody has a dependent, they should already be paying. The dental's already covered for children 18 and younger.
Okay. Also look into that.
Like it's like a law, like you
Okay.
have to have dental coverage for kids 18 and under. Like I have, Health Partners,
Mhm.
and Health Partners has their own dental plan.
Okay.
So I didn't get to opt out of it, I automatically have to pay the $25 a month per child to have dental coverage for them.
Okay.
So I'm just saying that might not be an increase if people add their dependents to the dental plan, 'cause they already would be paying for it right now.
Yeah.
You just have to see how I don't know how.
Yeah, I'll also look at that.
increases, that's peanuts to add.
Well, I know, I'm just stating that Blue Cross Blue Shield was Delta Dental, and I paid it all through my health premium.
So what do you,
Um,
what's being
I'll
asked?
do a final
So ju-
total
just
cost, so
can I quick clarify?
Yeah.
Just so you guys know where we're coming from. This came to Personnel Committee. We've been working on going to HSA and some of those directions. Once we got down to that point where we want to go, we didn't get into the nuts and bolts of what we would recommend. Because there's 5 of us, and we weren't going to recommend we pay 100% or 80 or not, and we wanted that to come to council for the final numbers of things. Personnel Committee is absolutely recommending we move to an HSA. We think that's the way to go. From all the information we've had, Carver County's, every city's going that way, and I think it benefits our employee to help retain our employees and really keep competitive. So we didn't get into we're not making a recommendation from should we do a 80%, 100% employee, 80% family, 90% family. We just want to have some of those discussion and make sure we get there. So let's go through some of those,
Yeah,
maybe
so,
where people, where we can see
So I
what
wanted
the
to,
increases
yeah, like the total, this is probably what'll make the most sense. So the total current cost for all benefits that we have, we don't have long-term and short-term, but, that total for 2018 was $40,944. If we go to option where we keep life insurance, add long-term and short-term disability, and do 80% dental and health, it would be an increase to $98.30. So that would be about a 44.8% increase, but it's about, like, I would say $18,000 difference.
for what?
That's for the 80% coverage. For the 90% coverage, it goes up to $63,997.60. This is on the other page.
Okay, wait. So this is an
This
updated
is
page as
the
opposed to what's in the
updated,
packet?
yeah, this is
Okay.
updated. So it's about a 56% increase, for a difference.
So when you're saying 80%, are you talking about the employee benefit or the family?
Family.
So there was
So you're-
never a plan made up that was, or you don't have any plan made up that's the employee is covered 80%. Every single one is 100% coverage
Correct,
all the
Correct.
way down the line for the
Mhm.
employee.
correct.
All right.
Okay.
And then 100% would be 66,668, which would be about, it would be about a 63% increase, which would be about $25,000 increase from last year's budget.
And that's if everybody put their dependents and spouses on the plan.
That's based on what I've gathered from the employees, how they want to do it.
Oh, how they would want to do it,
Right.
okay.
So what's being asked of us today?
One, we don't have to make any decisions. We want to get this out because of budgeting. That's where we started running short on time, so we wanted to get this out. We have to get our preliminary budget in at the end of the month. So we don't have to do anything today. I'd at least like to have some discussion. So Maggie, if she has to go back, get different numbers and those sorts of things. But there certainly doesn't have to be a motion today. But it really, we're running out of time for budgeting purposes in case, because such an increase, if we decided, we may choose to do nothing. But, so that's more, some discussion, really, and then if there's a motion anyone would like to make, but.
Have we looked at other healthcare providers, like worked with a broker?
Yeah,
Okay.
And preferred one PPO is our best?
that's kind of where, where he's proposing to keep it, based on what he's seen
Okay.
elsewhere.
I just wanted to make sure we were looking at other providers if needed.
Yeah, he said this is kind of where it's at, so.
And my other, I mean, I have a million questions,
Mhm.
but mostly, who decides which plan is, there's only one plan being presented here.
And we've historically only had one plan option.
Right, but
And that's kind of
to
like,
me, my HSA is a $3,500 deductible. There's
and we can go up,
higher ones.
we can go up,
5,000, 10,000.
Yeah, that make a little bit more sense.
right, I
Or
mean,
at
this is,
least- I mean, this is just too much for me, it's too much of a jump. I'd
I-
love to do that,
What are
I'm
the
not comfortable
deductibles on these?
2,800 and 5,600.
for family.
And I've been on high deductibles too, where it's, 3,000 for individual, 5,000 for family, and then you can choose to even go up higher, up to 10,000. I do have some concerns, like, having the city pay for long-term and short-term disability. I'm a government employee myself. My employer does not pay for long-term or short-term disability. It's an option that I can purchase.
Mm-hmm.
We did bring that up at the
Okay.
meeting, too, that, it seems like, personally, I'd like to see it offer more life insurance and then allow the employee to purchase the short-term and long-term disability. and stuff,
Agreed.
but-
Agreed.
Mhm.
And I think, we should cap what we pay for life insurance, and if they wanna purchase additional above that, no problem with that.
That's what we do right now.
I also have concerns about paying 100% for employee, 'cause I think that's quite a bit. Insurance is always gonna go up, insurance is always gonna be a big deal, but on the other hand, I know to some degree, the benefits, the insurance benefits are an issue with some employees, but there's also other perks to the job that are very beneficial that might not be.
Mhm.
So, I think it's definitely something we can talk about and negotiate on, but what's proposed, I'm having some major concerns with.
What were the other communities, Maggie? Were they typically 100%? For
And
employees?
I can get that to you. It was typically 100% for employee, but there were a couple communities that had 80. And then,
That's
for,
Are you talking about in his thing, what we just paid for?
No, nope, for what
That's what
Maggie
I'm
had.
looking at.
Maggie surveyed all the communities around, so that was different information we had.
Why'd we pay for this
Like with
then?
my employer, I pay, for individual, I pay $90 a month, and if I wanted family, it's $500 a month. so they can't, it's very hard, well, yeah, that's why my husband has his own and I have my own, because it financially makes more sense.
And you work for Hennepin.
Right.
Carver County went 80% straight across the board, 80% family, 80% just straight across the board. And none of the other things that, you talked about, the long and short-term disability. There was a small contribution to the HSA, but in this proposal, we're covering almost all of the deductible. So, yeah,
I do have some concerns when I saw these numbers as they came back. We originally, when we talked about HSAs, we were trying to keep it within real close to what we had, and then it's just kind of turned into this through conversation. So I obviously get concerned over percent increases and a 40%, but on the other hand, I think we have to remain competitive. That's my biggest thing, is remain competitive. I understand Carver County may do some, but our public works employee may not go to Carver. They may not. They may stay.
I'm just giving an example.
I'm trying to stay.
And I'm also looking at this study that we just
I get concerned with our neighboring communities where I think our employees would probably go get a job close to here. It seems to be, that's what I seem to think, but it's a big increase. It's still, nonetheless, it's a 44% increase, but.
And to speak to what Liz said, we did just approve to do a step, right, and a COLA.
We haven't
Step and a COLA,
approved it
so hopefully that helps.
I just think it's a lot to ask for citizens in this community. First of all, if we accept like the water study, that's a 3.75% increase per household
Taxes are going up.
per year. And now we're going to tax them more to cover all these benefits. I have a hard time just upping and upping and upping taxes.
But I'm looking at it, if you look back at previous years, our staff was completely different. We had different needs that the staff needed for health, and now we're kind of regrowing our staff. We have younger people doing it, so they do have families, and we never really addressed the families, so we've actually kind of gotten a good deal on our health insurance in the past. This is a lot to take in, and I think we can move, but I think we have to make some sort of adjustments to accommodate, our employees are our biggest asset. So if you're going to invest in anything, it's your employees that you should invest in.
I don't think anyone's saying that.
No, I know, I just want to put some comments out there. I'm not saying somebody's not thinking that. That's all what I'm not trying to say. For my company, we're a small company that I work for, and I pay $20 for myself. I pay 50% of Nate's deductible, and I pay 100% for both my kids. So that's $750 a month that I pay out of pocket for health insurance. I've thought about quitting, but there's other benefits within my company that, well, no, it's a true statement. I've told them that.
There's other benefits that are.
There's other benefits that keep
They're all
me.
watching this.
No, they can watch it. They know how I feel about it. But that's just what they've chosen to do, and unfortunately, my health insurance has gone up astronomical because of Obamacare. So it's just a thing. So I'm willing, I think we have some work to do on what percentage, but I think we need to do something more than the $800.
I think we're low on I definitely think we're low on family. We talk about covering 100% for single. We're already doing that. Our 800, that's already covering for single. So I don't want to get too hung up on covering 100%. We already are, for many cases. I think maybe I would propose to move this to a work session at next week.
Give me a chance to go through some numbers.
Hello, I'm Mike Wegner. I've been in public works for a few years. Where I came from, we were a union, so there was a lot of union studies that I've been through on health insurance. 7 county metro area, there pretty much are no company or no cities that aren't offering 100% for employee. In the studies that I've seen, I just find it odd that we wouldn't support our employees at 100%. I know it's a big increase, but 100% is also part of what public works is. Part of the reason you get into public works is the benefits, the health, the dental, all that. That's why, one of the reasons you look to get into Public Works. We've had 2 employees now that we've hired that I kinda get a feeling that insurance has been an issue with hiring these people. So I do believe that we need to step up and do something that increases, at least, helps the individual. I know a lot of the communities where I worked, HSAs were paid 100%, and they also contributed up to $25,000 to $3,000 into the HSA a year. So those are studies with an HSA that needs to be looked at also. So just my 2 cents.
So as a resident, do you feel comfortable with 44% increase
For my Public Works employees, yes I do.
for all the employees?
For all of them,
For city
right, for all
employees,
city
or
employees.
the resident
I mean, they're doing a job that benefits us. If we don't have them, we don't have a city that runs.
We also don't know the tax impact on that, so I'd kinda like to look at some of those numbers too,
And we can
Yeah.
go into that with the
Correct.
budget.
to
Okay,
see
thanks,
what the
Mike.
tax impact is gonna be.
Appreciate that.
Kyle, did you get into Public Works for the benefits? Honest answer.
Yes,
Retirement, para.
retirement, absolutely, yep. That and the work is always there.
So would we have,
It doesn't go away.
Can't outsource you, can we?
what do you think, a work session next
Yeah,
meeting then
I
to
think
hammer
it's a
out,
good
since
idea.
we're gonna have,
Yeah.
it sounds like there'll be a lot of discussion, and Meg will have to get some more numbers together.
So you've consulted the insurance company
Mhm.
when you did this and
Yep. Yep.
All right,
more
Is a
variables.
work session before a meeting or after a meeting gonna be enough time?
Well, we gotta start having them.
I think I think we're just gonna have to schedule another one next city council meeting,
Some
in 2
things
weeks.
on them all the time, that's the problem.
and that should be our only item,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
We weren't
I believe
planning on
so.
we weren't planning on having one,
Right.
correct?
I think we should
Well,
keep it
there
as,
was maybe one other financial thing on there, but I think that's it.
Okay.
Financial forecasting.
All right, I'll propose we move it to do we need a motion to table this to a, work session, or no? Can we just table it?
Well, you got a
Yeah.
resolution in front of you that's
We
being
just table it?
proposed.
Yeah, I would,
Made a motion to,
I know, I'm just saying, it's in the, I don't know.
well, and you don't always have to,
But
I mean, you don't have to do a
table this
motion
to
on that
next work
resolution,
session.
yeah.
Thank you. 6C1.
Okay, I'll, go through this and I'll kind of talk about 6C2 as well, they kind of are related, so
Okay.
preliminary plat and planning and development. What we have here is a, preliminary plat and preliminary planning and development plan for a 96 lot, single-family residential subdivision. Went to, in front of the planning commission at the last meeting for the public hearing for these 2 items. The preliminary plat is kind of, similar to what was previously done as a preliminary plat about 12 or 13 years ago. And at that point, that preliminary plat is expired, so the applicant is now coming back and we preliminary plat in this area. The reason for the preliminary plan unit development is, he is designing the same size lots that were previously approved. Currently, the R1 district is 10,000 square feet and 85 feet wide for a minimum. Previously, the zoning ordinance for the R1 was 10,000 square feet and 75 feet wide, and that's what the applicant's proposing, therefore the preliminary PUD. And this does match, most of the existing grading and things like that out there. As part of this property, there will be some outlots that will be dedicated to the city, I believe there's 6 of them in all. They'll be acting as open space, that includes like stormwater ponding, the wetlands and things like that. And there'll actually be some trail connections that will eventually be built through these, outlots by the developer to connect, the existing part in the project with this future, open space, when it's all developed. Previously, the preliminary plat in this location showed 81 total lots. Since that plat was expired, staff had talked with the applicant and we wanted some revisions to the layout. The main one being a connection to 7th Street Northwest is the northeast part of the property. Also, since the last preliminary plat, floodplain, boundaries have been adjusted with the new floodplain update. That'll be going before the planning commission for the public hearing at the October meeting, so we're finally at a point with these new FEMA maps. So that that is also adjusted, so in the northeast corner, because of the adjustments, we're actually getting a total of 96 lots versus the previously 81, so they did pick up 15, from that previously plat, and they do meet those sizes that were originally used, so from the staff, perception, there's no issue there. The planning commission did recommend approval of both these, items. There was, 3 conditions that were added, to the preliminary plan, I should say, 2 added, 1 adjusted. The one was that all stormwater ponds will have access either in the form of an outlet or an easement. So the easement's being located in one location versus the form of an outlot. An additional 21 was added for a future trail connection to outlot C. And then, that's not part of the, outlot C Coldwater Crossing, 7th edition, that's the large outlot to the west, that's not part of this. And basically what we're doing is there's some discussion on trail locations. And since that is not technically part of this plat, we just basically put a note on the preliminary plat saying that that future trail location will be determined at that point when that comes into development. And then 22 is to put a driveway easement over outlot D in favor of the property to the north in Howland Township. And what the issue is, normally we just require those properties to be combined, but since the house is in the township and the outlot will be in the city, we can't technically combine them, so we have to have legal access to that property so we don't, limit the access there. So that easement will accommodate that. The owner, also owns the house to the north, so he'll own all the property, and this easement will be in favor of that. And if he ever does decide to develop that little area, that easement could be vacant at that point, and, along with cul-de-sac or something, they'll get that back. Other items, net density of this site comes to 1.95 units per acre, so just under 2 an acre, which is pretty typical for single-family developments. Basically landscaping, the proposal is that there's gonna be 2 trees per street frontage, and on a corner lot, there'd be 2 in the side yards for a total of 4. That's being proposed, that meets the ordinance or landscaping requirements. Also, in the previously, approved plat, the previous developer paid for all the parkland dedication, a while back, this was about 10 years ago, for the entire site. So there is no more park dedication that can be required at this point, based on what was paid previously. The right-of-way width in this is also being proposed at 50 feet wide for the streets. This matches the existing streets in Coldwater Crossing. Typically, right-of-way width would be 60 feet. The one street that will be connecting to 7th Street Northwest is considered a minor collector, and that is gonna be a 60-foot right-of-way.
And is that on this map, that road that you're talking about?
It's not on, it doesn't show the map, the road itself. There's, if you look at the preliminary plat, I don't know if you have that one.
Yeah.
You look there, that was the map kinda showing some trail connections. This one right here, this is the older preliminary plat that shows the trail connections, but the road on the northeast kinda goes up to the northeast corner, that would be the, minor collector, and that'll eventually connect all the way over to the roundabout on Trunk Highway 25, so.
We're talking like right here, coming here?
Yeah, it comes in there and it'll connect into the
Yeah.
existing, neighborhood. So 7th Street, it's actually, I think, 62nd Street in the township area right now.
Yeah.
That'll be considered a city road that'll connect into the northeast corner of Coldwater Crossing.
Okay.
So right now, I think there's like a driveway with a couple houses back there. On the road, obviously, is up to a certain point, but somewhere down the road, they'll all be upgraded to a city-type street, so.
Okay, thank you.
Wetlands, there is a slight, small wetland impact being proposed up in that northeast corner. That wetland impact will be for that 7th Street connection. It is possible to possibly shift that around. It is going through that process right now. From the staff perspective, if the wetland impact is approved, the road alignment will be fine. There's also a floodplain that, is potentially being, shifted around to kind of match more of the development, so they're basically filling an area but create floodplain in another area. It's called a letter of map amendment, or a LOMA. That's also something that'll be required as part of the final plat approval. There's also an easement, a 16.5-foot wide cartway easement on the north boundary line of the plat itself. Since this is all being platted, that easement should be vacated and the new right-of-way, for that future road connection would provide access to that house. The applicant owns all 3 of those parcels up there. They've all been combined to, Carter County now, so there is no need for additional access to the other vacant parcels. They're all, they are one parcel.
They're one now,
So
okay.
that would be a step that would go through in the final plan process as well. So with that being said, the preliminary plan unit development, is recommended to be approval by the planning commission with the 5 conditions attached in your, packet. And there's also 22 conditions that were listed for the preliminary plat approval. I can go through specific, conditions if anyone has any questions. I would also make comment that the plan unit development should be acted on prior to the preliminary plat to allow for the lots to be, under the R1 status to the side, so those can be pushed around, but, other than that, I don't have any comment. The applicant is here tonight as well, if you have any questions.
Perfect, thank you. Jude, is there anything, specific you wanna discuss or comment on, or just take questions if there are any?
No,
Okay, all right, thank you. Were there any specific, comments from the, public hearing?
Not any specific comments, the main ones were that wetland impact, that trail connection, and a couple of little minor ones, but, those are being addressed, and obviously the conditions that are included would take care of those, so if something happened with the wetland impact, that would have to be addressed with them.
Okay.
And that would be done with the final plat, with the final plat.
Is that the floodplain one? Oh,
There is a map in your packet that's
Where
got
it's-
floodplain shown,
I think it was the one right before this.
right there,
Mhm.
floodplain.
So, and that's the new one?
That is the new floodplain map, so the blue is the major floodplain, the red is kind of like a 1% chance. So there are areas that are being, filled as part of this, but there's also areas that are being created, so if you look at the preliminary plat itself, there's a large, kind of like ponding area that'll actually create storage. So when you fill something, you have to create that storage, and we're only talking about, a couple feet here or there from a depth standpoint, so that obviously has to go through final engineering review with the final plat. And if they aren't able to, create enough storage, it potentially could mean a loss of a couple lots, but that's a condition of approval there. So, talking with the developer's engineer, and, city engineer, looks like that's the process.
So none of the homes would be,
None of the homes would be in the floodplain after the grading is done. They would be raised up out of the floodplain area, and that line would actually be adjusted to fit the lot.
So just a quick question on that map right there, see where the Seventh Street Road comes out there, it's going up to that first cul-de-sac?
Yep.
Can you zoom
Oh,
out?
sorry, I'm on the
Just
wrong
zoom out
side.
one more. Is that road moving from where it currently is right now?
So if you look, if you can zoom up or scroll down a little bit, there's actually, the road used to be just one lot to the right of that, there's a, right back up where you were there. One lot to the right of it, there was a little stub street with a curved radius. It was previously in the old layout, looked to go right there, and now it'd be kind of like a short cul-de-sac, but with the connection that, we'd like to get the Seventh Street, that make more sense to move it to the west. So there is a little piece of, right-of-way that will be vacated as part of this process with the final plat, and then new curb would be put in there, and that little stub will be.
All right, that was my question, 'cause I knew that stub, where the stub is right now, it goes into an existing lot, and you can't, and you had new lots there, so I was confused. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
there is a condition for that right-of-way to take place,
Yep.
right-of-way vacation.
Thank you.
I should make another point along that road, the sidewalk that runs along there, there's one existing house that fronts on, Schoolhouse Road there on the corner. Proposal is that sidewalk would run down to Old Schoolhouse Road, so there would be one house that's existing in previously phased, that there is no sidewalks, that one little connection has to be made to connect that to the trail location.
So that's the one on the,
Kind of on the east corner of that Old Schoolhouse Road and that new
Okay.
Riverbend Trail.
okay.
Just an existing lot there with a sidewalk along the side there.
Perfect. All right. Any other questions for John or the developer, Mr. Legault? If not, I will,
so you're saying we should do number 2 first?
Yes, because the plan unit development actually allows the lots to not meet the standards of the R1 district, and that's something like conditions after
So
that.
this one to go with those.
Make
all right,
thank you.
all right, I'll look for a motion to approve resolution 9-10-18-27.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
A motion, a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'll look for a motion to approve resolution 9-10-18-26.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion, a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion, no. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, thanks, John. 6D1, please, Westridge Park amenities.
Okay, so at the last meeting, it was discussed to look into whether a warranty would be, provided if Public Works did the installation. So I'm just bringing this back. So, I did contact Flagship and they said that if they did the installation, there would be a 1-year installation warranty. That if Public Works did, we would not get that, but there is a warranty on equipment that would last regardless of whoever did the installation. So it would just be a 1-year warranty that we would be waiving if Public Works did it.
Installation warranty.
Just on the install?
Yep.
Okay.
And then, so if they did the installation, it would be $9,853.86.
What is staff recommending? Do we have bandwidth for staff to do that, or Maggie, are you recommending we have?
I mean, it would definitely be a project for next year. I don't think we would be able to get it in this year at all, or for sure, so it would be a spring project if it was Public Works who did it. I know Flagship would still be able to do it this year, but,
My question is, with our manpower and our equipment, what would be the cost of that compared to what we'd be paying? I mean, how much would we be saving by having our Public Works install it versus having them install it? Because if we're looking at manpower and dumpsters and everything else, then is it gonna end up costing us more to have us do it?
Probably. Plus all that time, plus then you gotta get volunteers.
But it's just, matter if you want it done this year, then absolutely, that's why I should do it. If you want it, time is really of the essence, we could probably handle it, but without having the blueprints or like the installation manuals, I can't really give a price of actually what it's gonna be, but we definitely, just, based off the top of my head, is we drill in a couple holes with the skid loader and, cement it and start labor time, I guess, pretty much.
A week's worth of time, half week?
What's that?
A week's worth of time?
Yeah, until I
Hard to
see the
tell.
manuals and stuff, it's like I really have no idea.
And then other things aren't getting done
Right.
because of that.
Right.
Correct.
They're not,
So,
it's not worth it
It's not worth it to what?
to have tie up our staff putting up. Cause you always think it's gonna go one way and then it never does.
And yet they can whip it in really fast, cause this is what they do all the time.
That's what
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah.
'cause we didn't plan,
I can't even remember what the motion actually was last meeting, we
Just to
bought the
purchase it,
equipment,
yep.
that's
Purchase
it.
it, yep.
And, and then then we tabled the install to see if it would void the warranty or not.
When's the delivery of the equipment scheduled?
he put it in already, I think, he said, October is when they could get it in, mid-October.
And they can still install?
I think they could if we can get it on the schedule, but he said, that they need to know as soon as possible.
I'll make a motion for Flagship to install the equipment for $9,853.86.
I'll second it.
We have a motion, second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. City Council reports. Eric, anything to report on? Tice? Liz?
Park board meeting tomorrow.
Park board meeting tomorrow, okay. Nikki? Nope. I have nothing myself. I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. There you go.
You sure?
Anyone need a 5-minute break, or should we run right into this?
And I have to excuse myself, I have another commitment, so.
You do? Okay. Okay. Thanks, Liz.
I may have to leave.
Okay, we'll get rolling and.
Yep.
All right, we'll open the, city council workshop meeting and start with, Maggie, can we move around?
Yeah.
Number 1 and
I guess I didn't realize they have pictures. You guys have pictures tonight at 8?
Yep.
Okay, so I think if we could just go through this really quickly.
Can't they Photoshop a picture from 20 years ago?
you get a mustache.
20 years back? Would you prefer that? All right,
I think
then.
we can get through it pretty quick.
All right, then Rod, why don't you go ahead, then typically I like to get do John's stuff first and let him
Right.
get out of here, as we're paying him. But Rod, go ahead, if you wanna come up to the podium.
I guess first thing is, talked about station exhaust
Okay.
and the cost of, putting the exhaust system in our station would be $61,680.
That's for all of them. That'll hook up everything.
Correct.
Okay.
Hooking the trucks up,
Yeah.
venting, I believe, there's no wiring that would need to be done, but
Okay. What is that, does that do anything for space, or is that just things
That's
coming
all
down
up-
from the ceiling, and there's nothing on the floor?
yeah, it just hangs down from the ceiling, it's magnetic,
Okay,
hooks onto the exhaust, and,
all right. Thank
you know, it hangs out or whatever,
Right,
2 feet or something.
okay.
I think we got it, we went down too far.
Oh, I think, did I miss a page?
We have a blank page in between each one.
Everyone.
Yep.
Am I
Where do you want her
missing
to
something
go?
that you have, Rod?
Well, yeah,
I am?
first option would be to remodel station.
Okay, let's go to that one, Maggie.
Do I not have that one?
That's
Oh, here we
page
go.
8.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Well, and then some.
Talked to architect, engineer, talked to a commercial contractor. They both said there's no way you're gonna get a second story on it because the footings aren't gonna be big enough,
Okay.
especially at the time when it was built, they weren't, so.
Okay.
So with that, it would be the option of, building a new station, keep going, yes, that's someplace.
It's right here.
It was
Isn't
that,
it?
yeah, okay, yep.
Are you, yeah.
There's, should be one that says replace present station
Oh, okay.
on lot.
12, page 12.
Okay.
There you go. Would be, cost of that would be tear down of $25,000, replace it with a 50 by 140, with a second floor of 50 by 82. Cost is $200 a square foot, first floor and second floor. 'Cause our meeting room will have to be upstairs, we will need an elevator to comply with new laws. Architectural engineering fees would be $199,800. Contingency, they give a percentage, and that would be like for tables and chairs and that type of
Pretty typical.
items. Comes to $2,456,000. Negativity about it, does not add parking, still will be crossing the street. Loss of income of selling that building for commercial use, which could be used towards new building. Also, the city could gain commercial taxes, and I do have an offer for the building.
Oh, really?
You know, it's not a written offer, it's a voice option.
Sure.
Positively, new building has good exposure where it's sitting. And, you know, it'd be nice for the city, because you guys might not think it. Eric might say, you go to a town, you see a nice fire station, or they got, you know, a nice facilities for their. Second option, or you can see the lot.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, is that what this, okay.
That's the existing lot. We could go, there's a, 20 feet on the side. If we rezone it as, commercial, you can build up to those lines. So we could get that 50 by 140 building in there. Yeah. Which would give us our space in between the trucks, and the depth would come out like, similar to the other part.
And we can still do that now if we remodel that, or now we rebuild.
Yeah, correct.
Still be able to,
Yeah, if
yeah,
you,
yeah.
Okay, Rod,
Yep,
you have you started communications for the current station, not the commercial lot,
correct.
the current station.
Yeah, it was just one of them,
Yeah.
someone was talking about it and said, I'd buy it.
Okay, all right.
And that wasn't, I wasn't looking for anybody. It was just one of them conversation things, and the guy just says, I'd buy it.
And so then, just to clarify, to tear it down and replace it, it's $2.4 million.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
New station at Public Works, it'd be 12,560 square feet, which is 2.5 million. Second story is 1,692 square feet, and that is $100 because it's just an open room, basically. Architectural engineering is 243, contingency 134, bringing it to 3.058. Negative, not as visible to the public. It still can be seen as, from the road, but has room for expansion, has room for 44 parking stalls, has needed room around the vehicles for safety, and they can expand if we would want to go up to another bay. There's a lot. The lot would be big enough to expand to another bay if needed.
And is this the cost for the initial plan that you showed us a few?
Correct. If,
That's
okay,
I think
like that.
Huh?
I think it increased since the initial one.
What's that?
I think that increased since the initial, wasn't the
But
initial
that,
2.6?
yeah, but they didn't include the architectural fees and then contingency. But there was a, inflation price on it, or it's like 20, or what is it? 2.6% or whatever, so.
Okay.
Is there any figures on, so here's my thought on that initial plan. We don't have duty crews, we don't have overnight crews, so do we need some of this stuff? Fitness area, can it be downsized? Or will it not make a difference?
If you look at those needs, and, that's kind of what they recommend, fitness area, maybe not. But then again, you think of how we lost somebody, maybe we needed fitness. And,
You can't do that.
Exactly. I'm not gonna go there, but I'm just,
That has nothing to do with it.
the one thing,
It's not uncommon.
you're talking about future, and I don't know how far in the future it's gonna be, but I do think it's going to come where we're gonna have to have duty crews because we don't have people in town. I'm down to 4 people now.
Eventually, we're gonna have to, and it may be 20 years, but if it's a 30-year build,
Yeah.
that we have to plan for,
Yeah, correct.
it may only be 5 or 10 years.
Mhm.
I was just wondering if we could cut the cost of it and then add on to it in the future when we needed it. Like, do we need it this big? Can we eliminate a bay? Is that even worth it? I'm just throwing some stuff
And I
out
think
there.
one
As far as the
thing,
base, we would be filling the base.
Okay?
and one thing I'm hoping, if it works, like, to come back in the future, I know Ellers is putting together some numbers, kind of what it would look like if we bonded for it, and then what the tax impact would be. So, I know that that's something they did say they could come out at the next meeting. I don't know what our time frame is, if we need to do it that quickly, but I know that they're doing the numbers right now, kind of, not only for the fire station, but for our pavement and then some of our other CIP long-term investments. So, I think that'll give us a good idea, too, kind of what it our financial options are and how much it's gonna cost and everything like that.
I just think that we're here pretty much, I think that we're to the point where we need something other than what we have. But I also wanna make sure that we're not, getting the Taj Mahal when we don't necessarily need that right away. Just like we have to do with the benefits and every other bit of money that we spend, that's not, that's taxpayer money. I just wanna make sure that we're
If you
not
look at
overdoing it.
the very last picture,
I agree with that.
Which is,
that
this,
would be the same station. Pick up walls. Which we
This
said
is
on
another
him,
town.
but
Okay.
but not what?
Yeah, some of it will have to, once we get that decision, and we're moving forward with that, then we gotta start talking about the costs on some of those things.
And you gotta think that those are average costs. It might not come near that cost
All right.
once you do bids, but I mean, those are what they basically go by on a standard billing is $200 per square foot.
Do you have a preference on location?
Public works.
I'd like to make a point too, the existing site, in front of where it's poured on or rebuilt, and where it's drainages, it's been all institutional. And if you want the commercial use, you can use on that property, it's 2 to 3% of the business district, and so that is, to a setback, so by saying that you have to
Be able to build out that extra
Mhm.
property line.
it's all institutional, right?
Otherwise, it wouldn't even come close to fitting on.
Don't we have to change it anyway if someone buys it?
If it went to commercial, we'd rezone to C2, which matches the rest of the block.
Okay.
But no variance if they weren't expanding it.
I see it.
Yeah, but if they bought it, rezoned it.
Okay. This is what I wanted. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Anything else?
Just, so I can update you a little bit what's going on. October 6th and 7th, they're gonna call it for line of duty desk, red light day. So, we will be doing something on the station as far as putting up red lights on it. So, if you see the station and it's got red lights on it, you know what that's about. September 30th at the Capitol, I'll give you what we are going to be doing,
When's red light day? October what, 6th?
6th and 7th.
I don't need one.
Well, what's the red light do?
It,
Color of a fire
supposed
department.
to says on here, but, represent line of duty desk.
Okay.
And that's when Emmitsburg does the line of duty desk. The 6th, they do their candlelight service, and on the 7th, they give the brick and whatever to the family. Other things that October 6th and 7th, I'll be going out to Emmitsburg along with Nikki and Nate. On October 12th is Minnesota State Fire Chiefs Association conference, and then they do a memorial on Friday night. And then the other thing is October 8th, we are having open house at the fire station.
Yay.
Perfect, okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
All right, let's go to, 224th Street.
Okay, so I know Pat is here. So I guess tonight we're just kind of continuing our discussion at the last workshop that we had on 224th Street. I know what we're trying to do tonight is to kind of have a conversation about how Chad can work with what the city has written in ordinance to come into compliance, and I think we have some ideas, but I know Chad might have some ideas as well, and I know we've been going back and forth, a little bit, but.
Okay, please. Do you have a diagram of what the property looks like, Maggie?
I can pull it up.
Why don't you pull up the picture, just so we have that up, so, in case we need it.
I guess my biggest question is, are we, before we proceed, are we going to attempt to revisit the allowance of gravel at all before I go spend thousands of dollars possibly concreting? Because I know it's been discussed.
Yeah.
To change the text?
To change.
Well, even to discuss it again,
We
because I don't
haven't
wanna.
had those conversations yet, and we're gonna have to.
Well, that's what I'm saying, I don't know that I wanna, we've already surpassed 60 days.
Let's see what we can do to get you in compliant with everything outside of the gravel.
Right.
And before you do that, we'll have those conversations, and if you need extra time, we can work and give you that extra time before. I mean, we're willing to do that,
Right.
I think, and I can't speak for everyone, but let's
I
worry
think-
about the gravel last and see if we can work, if we
John?
can't work through the easements.
You said I was over about 4% or so?
4 or 5.
4 or 5?
Yeah,
So if I've got a proposal to remove 140 square feet, which I think would come close to, it would give me what I need, but it would also it would eliminate 14 feet of boulevard and then offset back another 10 feet off the easement.
Do you have the map?
Because it's 28,
Go get 'em, yeah.
right now we've got it 28 feet wide,
Yeah.
cut it in half to the original rock pad width, and then back it off 10 feet.
yeah, so just so you know, the boulevard area doesn't count in the calculation. It's only the area within your property.
Oh.
itself.
So
But-
then I didn't lose any.
Well, no, there's two issues that we need, there's 2 variances right now that would be required. One would be a lot coverage variance, one would be a driveway width variance. Which has 28 feet plus 30 on the concrete.
Right.
You got 58 feet,
Right.
28 feet over. We had a conversation on it about three weeks ago or something, and I said, to start with, we need to look at, from a variance standpoint, of just saying, let's leave it as it is. This has nothing to do with gravel versus pavement. Staff, from looking through the ordinance, we really can't support a variance, because this can be reduced, from what's out there right now. So that's the last conversation we had. So from a variance standpoint, I said, can we reduce it down to, get from, say, approximately 40% to 35%, and can we reduce the width of that driveway down? And if we can do that, then we can start talking variances, because right now it's 58 feet wide, doesn't necessarily need to be that wide.
Right, that's why I was saying, if we can cut it down 14 feet from the 28, so we're sitting at 44 feet instead of
So is that what
58
your
feet.
intent, are you trying to get this down to stay within the
Parameters.
ordinance?
Yes.
And
And
you wouldn't have to do the
I'm fine
shrink
with
thing,
concrete too, I just
but
need
you're not
to-
looking to go, or variance, are you? I mean, you're
Not-
looking to reduce what you have to get
Right.
under the 35 and get out of the easement?
Yes.
And, okay. So,
But John's right, I'm gonna run into variance issues because of I'm gonna have to apply for one because of the width. I'm gonna exceed the max of 30 feet.
because it connects right up to, because the gravel right now is connecting to
Now,
the driveway.
What if
So
we
what if that came off 2 feet?
If we
What if-
separated it a foot?
So I've got a couple definitions here. So the existing definition in your ordinance of a parking pad is a pad used for parking vehicles not considered part of the driveway, and that's the key, it's not considered part of the
Yep.
driveway, which shall be constructed of appropriate surface materials depending on location. Now, we don't have an exact definition in the ordinance or the city code for a driveway, but a pretty standard one is, it's basically considered a private road because it's coming off the public right of way onto your property. It's giving access from that public way or road to a building or abutting grounds. So basically, in this case, your driveway is giving you access to your garage and to your parking pad. So whatever width you have at that curb considered driveway. You can make the definition that your parking pad starts at the front corner of your garage and goes back along the garage, but that area coming front to the street is actually your driveway. So, to pull that back, you're picking up lot coverage if it's off his property, but now you're not giving, are you gonna be driving over the grass if you're pulling that back?
Well, that's my concern is aesthetics now.
Correct.
Is it gonna look stupid, I can pour a pad 10 feet back, so I'm technically off, and then 1 foot over, so it's technically its own, but then there's no access.
So the pad can't connect to the driveway at all?
No, it can. It could be connected, but I'm saying is the pad, to define the driveway versus the parking pad, where you've got the front of the garage.
I know what
You
you're
go to the
saying.
side of the house, everything going back along the side is considered the pad, and everything in front of that garage is considered
It's
the
driveway,
driveway.
okay,
Right.
so if it's in front, it's considered driveway.
That's
Okay,
kind of the
okay, got it.
definition. Now, we don't technically have that, but if you go and look in most cities, that's how the driveway is defined.
Okay.
And
I get
other
that.
than coverage, lot coverage, there's nothing that stops someone from putting a pad back off of the road.
That is correct.
People drive on their grass all the time
Well, see, I'm trying,
to get to where.
I don't want it to look stupid,
And
you know
I
what
know
I mean?
he's saying to access it, it does make sense to be able to get a legit access,
Yeah.
parking.
Solid.
or driveway.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, if we cut it in half, and that's where the variance would have to come in.
And I think I could listen to that conversation, because now, having it 28 feet wide, it doesn't need to be that wide to access.
But now, if we technically, like we
right.
were saying, if we technically separate that by something, whether it be, I don't know, a row of pavers, or, a strip of grass, technically, then we're following the,
Yeah, but you're creating a driveway where there wasn't one, you're going back into the road again,
Yeah.
over the,
So, like I said, if you cut it down to 14, now you're at a 40-foot wide drive, 44. Lot coverage, we'd have to look at that. How we get that exact calculation, I don't know, maybe a survey can be required. We're gonna estimate that in survey dollars.
right.
got 'em.
So,
Yeah, and I think Mike and I had talked about that,
So, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get caught up.
I have a question. Are, stepping stones in the right of way considered driveway? When you say in the right of way, what kind of? So crossing, if he was to take the gravel back from the driveway, his existing 28 feet, 10 feet back in front of the garage, correct? Now he puts a pad in. Now if he has steppers in the grass, that is not considered, so. Would be a walking path more so of a. Yeah, but it's, you still got the width of that for your driveway width. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's not coming for lot coverage, you still got potential driveway, because you're using that for access. And how you build your driveway is a question, and that's the last answer, that has to be pavers. Right. Pavers themselves are considered impervious. Correct. I was leaning more towards the stepping stone. Well, I don't know if that would be allowed as a driveway use, for driveway use.
I know we can get down under the 35%, I know that's not gonna be.
Yeah, and I kind of assume that too, so I think we can get around.
Just getting out of the right of way will get them under 35,
Well,
won't it?
No, the right of way doesn't count
Oh,
for the calculation.
you don't count that,
It has
okay,
to be
that's,
on his property to
okay.
count for the thing. If you look at a right of way, typically the majority of
Okay.
that street already, so you're already way over that thirty.
So one thing for sure that would have to happen is move everything back 10 feet.
No, we're not saying that at all, we're saying we have to narrow the driveway width on the street itself.
Like this,
The
Right
existing drive, or the rock?
the
The
rock.
rock
But
and the
move it
existing is all
here.
counted as one.
Okay, I get that, I get that. I
And
get
then where
that.
would the rock start, like at the,
I'm trying to work
That's
item
right,
from,
sure.
I'm trying to work item from
he
item.
wants to just.
And
Oh,
we're in
got it.
violation of
Got
a
it
couple
now.
different things, correct?
Yeah, three things.
Lot coverage,
Driveway width.
driveway width, and,
Materials.
and materials, okay.
So he'd have to narrow the driveway
So we're
up.
not, there is no violation with being right up, if the driveway was the right width, he could have the rock right in, he can have it in the right of way?
Well, yeah, your driveway is in the right of way for every house.
Okay.
Crosses the right of way to
Okay.
the street, so yeah, that's not a violation.
So now you're
Width is
saying,
just
let's
too
cut,
Got it.
let's
Okay.
cut the new
Okay.
little
That makes
pad in
sense.
half, and then it's easier to give a variance for this,
Correct.
the extra
And then
footage.
if you can reduce some of
Okay.
that back corner or something or whatever, like I said, really what we need is a survey of the entire lot to know where that lot.
And that was
coverage
one
is.
of my next questions, here, are we making him get a survey on all this, or?
Typically, that would be in the requirement.
I actually read that somewhere, that,
Yeah, we typically require that for all new construction homes for, mean, obviously, if we have a house that we know is at 10%, we don't necessarily require lot coverage requirement, but this one, we don't know exactly where we're at.
It's so close.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are the.
Do you think you can get that width down then?
Oh, I know I can. But I don't know that I wanna pay $500 for a survey.
They're more than that.
Especially when we're within percent.
And that would be a typical requirement.
Otherwise, how do you really know how much coverage there actually is?
What is the estimates on a county map?
Right.
Rough estimate.
But then the next question arises, are we gonna rediscuss at all the gravel?
That, for I think we have to.
Well, yeah, 'cause I know, like I said, one of my neighbors just put a huge monster in,
We have to.
like in the last 2 months.
Gravel?
Oh, yeah, retaining wall and all.
So the discussing gravel, I mean, this isn't something that was just approved this summer with that.
No, no,
No, we know,
right.
yeah, no, we're aware of that.
And, you know, there's a discussion here based on, do we wanna pave parking pads and driveways, or one or the other, or both? Right now, it's both, and that was what the previous rule was.
I just want that settled before I go spending the money.
Okay.
Now, if you change it to where the driveway has to be, not in gravel, then any new house can put in a gravel driveway.
Now, how can we redefine that though on ours? Is there any way to redefine that?
I would redefine that the parking pad starts at the corner of your house and goes back along the side, the driveway goes from the front of your.
So what if we concreted that section where the driveway would be and then gravel the rest?
So that would have to be up to city council to change that ordinance.
Well, yeah, I'm just, you know, 'cause then technically
That
we'd be
takes a public hearing and a text amendment, like a variance would, so.
I can't win.
And we just went through this exact discussion in May and April and June, so it was brought up previously.
Well, other things have come up that we have to discuss gravel. We have to discuss it.
Mhm.
People have gravel.
Well, I'm willing to do whatever you guys suggest. I just, as long as everybody's okay, like the 90 days or whatever, or if it's next spring or whatever, I don't care.
What do we need to do about that for the 90 days to give an extension? What's the proper?
Yeah, we would have to.
I mean, we're 60 days in already since the last time I got to see you guys.
I would have Chad request an extension, and you guys just grant an extension.
Well, I'm gonna have to probably request it through the winter,
Yeah.
because I'm not gonna pour concrete in December.
No, yeah, if you're gonna do the extension, do it for what you need it for, but
Okay.
I can tell you from if that does come to council.
Well, and then that gives you time too to,
I would ask, after that extension date, from when the 90 days is up, I'd ask that nothing gets parked there. That's what I'll be asking if it comes to council. I don't wanna extend it and still allow things to be there, parked there, because it should be pulled out at the 90 days, and that wouldn't happen, so that will be I'm just telling you where I stand on it if it does come to council.
That doesn't mean that's what's.
That doesn't mean
agreed
anyone else
upon.
will. That doesn't, yeah, I'm just trying to let you know.
Yeah, so getting back to the materials, I think you need to make a distinction when they talk about this or discuss it, that driveway is different than parking pad. Like I said, from the
Mhm.
driveway gravel.
Yep, absolutely.
Anyone can have gravel
Yeah.
in the zone or anything.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Whereas a parking pad, not everyone has to.
I wouldn't be in favor of letting gravel driveway. But changing parking pads to allow gravel, I think we need to discuss.
Agreed.
So basically, he's up to the point where he's asking for an extension.
Yeah,
and do I have another written
I
letter
think,
to Maggie?
an email or Maggie that you're requesting an extension to this date.
And then I have to appear before the council.
I would if there's gonna be a discussion on it.
If you request the extension, you can just bring that to the next council meeting, and we have to approve it, you don't necessarily have to be there for it.
Yeah, you
Well,
don't have,
I will.
But any application for a variance or a text amendment, I would.
that'll be different, yeah.
Yeah.
But the extension, you certainly don't need to be there.
Well, if there's gonna be a discussion on, are we allowing something to be parked there over the winter? If I was the resident, I would be here. That's all I'm telling you.
Well, yeah, oh, definitely.
So.
Okay. Anything else on that then right now? Anything else to add, Chad?
No, I don't think so.
Can I ask a quick question about a comment? So, someone put in a big pad or something and it was gravel, did they get a permit? Have we,
Oh, like, are you talking about in general?
I'm talking about what he just said, a couple months ago, someone put in a big pad, a parking pad, and it's gravel.
Full retaining wall and everything.
Where
Was
is
there any permits pulled?
They didn't pull a permit, yeah.
Never gotten past John.
Yeah, the big thing is, a lot of things happens, and unless somebody tells us, we don't know what's going on.
And I'm not mentioning names, so.
I drive around all the time, I don't know.
I don't need
drive
anybody
around
else
more.
in trouble.
Like every day.
If we
Couple
But
of
see,
times in a day.
here's the technically a
I
path.
mean, if we find it, I mean, yeah.
It doesn't come up to the road.
Well, and I think the hard thing is too, is like unless a neighbor says, my neighbor put this in last week, when we drive around, or when I drive around, I don't know when that pad was put in. So I'm not really doing anything about current gravel pads, 'cause like, they're not, I don't know when they were put in.
Right,
A lot of
but
them out there were put in predates the ordinance, 10, 12 years.
some do.
Some do, but there's some new
Yeah,
ones.
there's a lot of new ones that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, all right. I was just wondering if there was any permits pulled within the last 2 months
I
for
have
that.
only received one extension, driveway, I think I sent that to you, and that's been it since last year, I think.
So at this point, we're just extending it. You guys are gonna have further discussion as far as gravel parking pads. Cutting it down possibly will work, might require a survey.
I would say it probably would, just based on the situation, and then if take a variance request by you, all for that as well. If you need to,
$800.
So what do we do
I think based
now
on how
with
close it is, we
current
have to have a
permits, or that are in? And let's say this person thinks, well, my pad needs to be tar or cement, and we change it.
That's why I
Well,
questioned.
so I do have somebody who wants to put one in, and and they wanna use gravel, and I said, well, you can't, 'cause the current code says you have to do this, so they,
We better get it done sooner than later then.
Mm.
I'd be mad if I was that person and I had to put tar or cement down, and now the council then changes their tax.
well, and I know.
That's why I wanna ask for the extension.
Well, and I know people are upset. I mean, they do get upset with me because
Sure.
they see that other people have put in gravel, and I just say I have to follow what the ordinance says,
Mhm.
that's all I really.
And we all understand that. I mean, it's not your fault.
We're gonna be in,
You're just,
And I think now that you know we're gonna discuss it, you can certainly let them know that. Anyone wants to, say, hey, it may be discussed by council, watch for future meetings.
so the
come to the meetings.
You're right, it's,
but that catch
It's gotta be-
22 on ours then would be the approach, the initial driveway, a portion of it would
Yeah.
have to be for sure concrete.
well, that would be up to the council at this point, yes, and if they change it, then
Well,
the variance.
but still, if you change then the driveway text, then, like you were saying, any new house can have gravel driveway.
yeah.
I don't think we'll change the driveway tax.
No, that's what I'm saying, so like
So you
my
probably
initial,
need cement.
my initial 10 or 12 feet here is gonna have to be concrete, and then what's behind
Yeah.
it necessarily could be gravel.
don't count on that changing, I wouldn't count on that changing. Yeah.
No, I'm not counting on it, but it, you
And
know,
you need
if
a
the
variance for the
gravel,
width of your driveway.
if the gravel text did change, then,
Yeah.
so yeah, definitely not doing nothing yet.
One other point I'd like to make, 30 feet that, Mayor has is actually wider than most communities, most communities like 24.
That damn tree wasn't there.
So 30 is, wider than the average.
I thought about it, believe me. That would solve all this issue right now, if that tree wasn't there.
Cut it down.
Tell them, Mom, it's gotta go.
No. Then I'll be in the ground.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Chad.
you.
Yep. All right, let's go to snow removal.
Question about this ordinance stuff. When I get my copy of the ordinance, am I gonna know if it's possible to put a parking pad in the easement?
No, there's setbacks on the easement, they should be able to put parking pad in. Depends on the easement width, so if it's 5 feet, like a typical one, you would not be able to put parking pad in.
has 12 feet from the lot line, 12 feet, so, if he wants to park his truck there,
Easement's 12 feet?
no, he only has 7 feet then, if
How
there's
wide
a,
is the easement?
huh?
How wide is the easement?
Well, 5 feet on either side of the lot line,
So he has 5 feet, so if he has 12, he'd only be able to put a parking pad on 7 feet.
yes, yes. So, who lets him know that?
That would be the city.
When he comes and applies.
When he gets the
When he
permit,
comes
yeah,
to
hopefully
apply.
he gets the permit.
When he applies for a permit, he'll be told that.
And he has been told.
Yeah.
Okay.
From the property line.
Correct. And if there's a drainage utility easement, in some cases that's bigger than 5, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, snow removal. Thanks, John.
Yep, thanks.
Oh, you're doing, oh my gosh.
I don't know who got this, but there's a 20 that in the hallway. Okay, everybody,
What?
don't jump
Thank you. Thanks, Chad.
Put it in the petty cash fund.
Probably
got a lot of money in there. Yeah, he was rushing.
What a,
If it was Rod, it'd be 100.
there'd be a couple of them.
That's cute.
What a honest, that was a nice guy. Oh. All right, I'll try to run through this real quick. All right, I put together the snow removal operations presentation. This will be my 6th snow removal season going into. So I've been through 5 snow seasons since I've been here. Kind of get a good feel for the whole thing. Kind of where we could improve, what we could do better, that sort of thing. I really wanted to bring it forward because it's kind of my job to bring forward to the council when I see where we could have a cost savings, doing certain things in-house, where we could improve and that sort of thing. So, yeah, let's kind of dive right into it. So a little background, the city has 11.35 miles of roadway. 2016, 2017, we added 0.9 miles of roadway with the Hidden Creek 6th, 7th, and Coldwater 7th edition. We have 17 cul-de-sacs. I put cul-de-sacs in there just because when it comes to plowing snow, it's, they take a little bit more time than just your standard street. We remove snow from downtown sidewalks and State Highway 25. We receive a loading reimbursement from the state, and I got loading in quotes because loading includes windrowing the snow, piling the snow, and then loading it into the back of the truck. However, it does not cover hauling that snow to a dump location. The city has contracted, as far as I know, the city has always contracted for its snow removal services. And ever since the city was young, when, there's only 400 some people and it was real little, we had local contractors pretty much doing the city's routine maintenance, and then temporary guys, part-time guys filling in for utilities. So there really wasn't a public works department established. So the current operation. So I kind of have, city's current responsibilities are, we spread the salt and sand. We started doing this in-house back in 2014 when we purchased the new F-550. It has a tailgate sander, and it's been going very well. Not having to call the contractor in every time we have to sand, regardless, if it's a little slippery roads here, slippery roads there. I mean, that definitely saved the city a good amount of money. I wish I would have documented every time I went in, because every time the contractor would come in, it'd be a 2-hour minimum, no matter what. So we plow the alleyways and parking lots. We assist with the cul-de-sacs. We clean up curb lines and intersections if they need to be cleaned up. We will assist with plowing streets. If I come to a street, the contractor knows this. If I don't think it's opened up in the right amount of time, I will open it up. And we keep roads open in a prolonged snow event. So like the last snow event, for example, we had a game plan all set in place, and we ended up getting about 12 inches of snow in like 4 hours. So I was plowing my driveway and I realized we had 12 inches of snow on the road, so I went into work and I opened up all the roads. The passables is 2 passes up and down. And then overall, oversee the contractor's work. So as long as the contractor's here, we're here doing the work, or we're here while they're here, to make sure it's done in a timely manner and it's done right. And the contractor's current responsibility, they remove and haul the snow off Highway 25. Depending on the snow, if it's a significant snow event, they do it every time, but if it's like a 1 or 2 inch snow event, then we'll hop in the skid loader and take care of it. And then they blade off all the city's roadways and cul-de-sacs. And I don't wanna bash the contractor, that's not my goal here either, I'm just kinda laying out the current operation. Yep. So the current operation, so I put downtown in there just 'cause it's kind of its own little, has its own little snow removal process. So like I mentioned, we receive a loading reimbursement from the state and then loading is windrowing and loading the snow and kinda collecting the snow. So it pretty much consists of plowing the whole intersection, or the whole street with the sidewalks and everything. We pile snow on 1st Street, 2nd Street, 3rd Street, and 4th Street, and 5th Street, and then we try to schedule it so they haul out next day, so we're not, there for a prolonged period of time. And we also try to do it, middle of the night is the absolute best time to plow snow, no matter what it is. Even downtown, then you don't have to deal with the cars and people gawking at you and driving slow, and it goes so much quicker. And then, the light poles, I'm sure a few of you have heard me joke about the light poles, but the light poles add a whole nother, they add a lot of work to removing the snow. Hopping on the skid loader, plowing the sidewalk, hopping off, hopping on, and in some areas it's just more efficient with the building so close to the sidewalk, just to back drag all of them and just work your way down and keep back dragging.
That will change in 2020, correct?
I'm not sure what MnDOT's plans are. I know I'm really hoping it does.
Oh, then that's up to us too.
Right, and if we even if the light poles were on that back edge of the sidewalk and not right on the curb line, being able to sneak a skid loader around there and push that snow to the street.
I thought they all were getting moved.
Yeah, we've
I thought that was
talked to them that we
I know
want
I've mentioned it to you that we wanna definitely look into that and then possibly also.
Yeah, we've told them that that's what we're wanting them to do, so.
Right, so, I'm not sure what all entail in that, but having that, being able to get, one swipe down on one side, one swipe up on the other side, and have it all bladed to the road, that would cut off, I think it would cut it down by like 70%, the amount of time that we get to spend on that road. So, and then we go back and shovel around the light poles after. So current operating costs, bar graph, everybody loves a bar graph. I went and I got the hourly rates for the last 14, 15 snow removal season. So this snow removal season is different from a budget season because they overlap each other. So snow removal season is pretty much November to April. Budget season of course is from January to December. So back in 2004, 2005, and then all the way up to 2018. And here's all that information. I had in a nice little bar graph. So between 2004 and 2005 snow season and 2017 and 2018 snow season, the overall hourly rate has gone up. So it's gone up 101% for the loader, 176% for the plow truck, 142% for the skid loader, 98% for the dump truck, and 76% for the pickup. Now, not all these pieces of equipment are used every single time, especially the pickup, I guess I'd say. Dump truck is used just when it comes to hauling snow. But the skid loader, plow truck, and loader are the main pieces of equipment that our current contractor uses every time during a snow event. Between 2013-2014 snow season and the 2017-18 snow season, so the snow season since I've been here, the overall hourly rate has gone up 72% for the loader, 72% for the plow truck, 121% for the skid loader, 53% for the dump truck, and 58% for the pickup. So, it's gone up overall. So what have we overall spent? So over the last 15 years, and then I got 2018's figures in there of what we've spent so far. So this snow removal season still isn't over until, December. So we've budgeted over the last 14 years $362,500. We've spent $276,781. We received the revenue from State Highway 25. I went back and looked in our records, we didn't have anything in, I looked at the line item where we put all the checks, but we didn't have anything in there for 2004. So either that we didn't get anything, or, it got put in another line item in it. I'm not sure where it went, so I didn't have that figure. So overall, so I just left it out. So we've collected $72,623 from the state, from revenue, from, removing the snow off Highway 25.
Well, in 2017, we only spent 7,000. Because we got reimbursed 10,000, or is that?
Correct, yeah, that's the way to look at it.
Already minusing the 10,000.
Yeah, I'm already minusing, so here's our operating costs, I took and subtracted it, so if we put this towards our operating costs, we spent $204,000.
But I'm looking year to year, so you have the total cost, you have not taken out what we got reimbursed.
I did, at the bottom right here.
At the
I mean,
The
bottom.
total
on a
amount
year-to-year.
spent, but not year to year, no, I
Year-to-year.
haven't.
No.
Okay.
No,
So year to
but
year-
it'll all come out to this number down here,
I get that,
yeah,
but that's over a
yep,
13-year period. But year to year, so 2017, we spent 7,000.
right, correct, yep.
10,000 in
You
16.
take 10,000 that, and then
8,000 in 15. Okay.
Yep, yep,
That's what I'm concerned with, what we're spending
yeah,
yearly, okay.
yeah.
What a big jump from last year. And
Um,
it's not even done yet. How come?
all right,
Because it got really
We have so much
snowy
snow.
in January,
Yeah,
February,
we have so
March,
much
and
snow.
April.
it snowed a lot.
Yeah, but whatever the state gave us didn't even it out any.
So equipment, so I got two pieces of equipment that would possibly work if we were to take over our own snow removal operations. One would be a plow truck, another would be our articulating wheel loader. So first I'll focus on the plow truck. So a little background, contractors' equipment and city's current equipment require 4+ passes on a typical 1+ inch snowfall. So it takes 4 passes up and down each and every road. They're about 30 feet wide. 28 miles of road, pretty much 28+ miles of road when you give and take, driving the road 4 times, and plus when it comes to intersections, going back and forth and cleaning the intersection all the way to the radius of the intersections and stuff. So, staff has plowed and salted the whole city after a 1 to 2 inch snowfall with the current 1 ton, and it took about 6.5 hours, and I did this for 3 snow removal events just because I was playing around with it, and it's kind of a fun fact to have. The plow truck, so a plow truck with the right equipment would give city staff the ability to clear snow off the road while applying salt, usually on the 2nd pass or 3rd pass. So within 2 to 3 passes, depending on the snowfall amount. So that's 24 miles versus 36 miles. Typical plow truck, usually it's about a 12-foot plow on the front. There's undermount blade with the one I would propose getting with the undermount blade. You can, or belly blade, you can apply down pressure to the roads. This is what the state uses, what the county uses, to get that snowpack scraped up off the road, down, not all the way to the black. It won't seal up the blacktop or the seal coat or anything. They don't make it that aggressive. But they allow enough down pressure to remove that snowpack, and then also with that being the case, it'll also reduce the amount of salt needed. Currently, if we have a prolonged snow event throughout the day and we come in that night to plow, there's constantly traffic on our roads, and every time there's traffic on our roads, all that snow gets packed, and then we come over with the big blade, it doesn't all peel up right away, so it makes us, if we want black roads, we gotta apply more salt to get it to melt. Once you get it to melt, then it turns to slush, and then it kinda, once that salt hits the blacktop is when it really starts working. So, then we gotta come back later, depending on how much slush there is, and grip blade off the slush, and then reapply an additional layer of salt to really get her melted off. So, with the undermount blade, which is a lot of what cities have, that would absolutely help a ton with the snowpack and reducing our salt use. A rear wing, able to clean intersections quickly and cleanly, and you can push back drifted snow, or what most operators call benching. So here's my cute little plow truck that I made. So it has the front blade and the rear wing, and then you can really, as you turn around the intersection, you can really push it really just beautifully around the intersection. You don't have to come back and mess with anything. Brine tanks, a lot of cities are using this. Waconia actually has a production system, and they actually sell it to other municipalities that use it, and it's like cents per gallon. So you feed it it's a slurry, so you apply it as you apply the salt, and it's pretty much like gasoline on a fire. It just like county uses it, and they apply it a little bit in road turns.
do the pickle Is that this truck right here?
Yeah, both of them have that option.
Hummer County's doing it.
So
They're
what-
trying it. They're
what's
trying.
What's your estimate, so you have, 1 to 2 inch snowfall with the current 1 ton?
Yep.
Is 6.5 hours, what's your estimate with that plow truck, the same 1 to 2 inches snow?
I think with the current, with a plow truck in the city's current 550 on a standard 6-inch snowfall, I'm thinking we have the city cleaned in 4 to 5 hours.
What does it typically take the contractor?
About 4 to 5 hours.
So right there, we're saving an hour and a half for sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So,
Well, it's 6.5 hours to do it with the current truck, the current 1 ton.
I see.
yep,
Without the contractor.
without the contractor,
Right.
correct, and that's with salting.
Yep.
With downtown, it took me another 2 hours in the skid loader to clear downtown on a 2-inch snowfall. So there's just that too. But that's kind of its, I don't know, we can talk about that later.
All right.
So, brine tanks, use less salt, apply the slurry, all that thing. Able to haul our own snow, so on Highway 25, we pile the snow, either if we're feeling like, let's get this done, we'll just tackle it that night, we can haul all the snow out, or we could just pile it in areas and then haul it out next day.
With that truck.
With this truck, yep. And all this, I know for a fact that we can do it with 2 people, because the first year I was here, it was just me and one guy and the contractor, yep. He was very slow, but we were able to get it done.
Could you use that truck other than snow removal?
Absolutely, and I'll touch base on that.
Okay.
Quick second.
I'm trying to jump your presentation, sorry.
So.
Quit reading ahead.
I was looking at the pretty picture.
So the price of a plow truck, and I put this figure in there, I mean, this is a high, I'm shooting high. So $225,000, that's for, we'll call, Watertown just bought a truck, and that's pretty close to what it ran them. But it all depends on what options you get. If we get the brine tanks, if we don't get the brine tanks, if we get the stainless steel box, there's a steel box, and it all depends on kind of the truck too. If you get a Mack truck, it's usually a little bit more, but they're a lot nicer. Or if you get a Freightliner, it's cheaper overall with the Freightliner. So there's trucks that kind of meet in the middle there too. So here's a couple pictures of the trucks. This is actually St. Bonnie's truck, which kind of has is pretty similar to the same current snow removal operations as we do, but they do their own is the main difference. But pretty similar miles of road, 2 guys, that sort of thing. They do have a part-time guy to run a skid loader if need be. And then here's a Mack truck, pretty much explaining everything what I just said comes on, or what would work really well for us on a truck. Front mount blade, rear wing, stainless steel box, brine tanks, and there is a belly blade under here. You can kind of see it right there too, St. Bonnie's truck. So here's another one, another city I know is looking at. Same features, it doesn't have the brine tanks and it has a steel box. I just had to throw this in there just to kind of make fun of our current contractor, because that's what's currently plowing our roads. One-way blade, it's not practical for municipalities anyway. It was actually a township truck.
But it takes him as much time as what you're saying it's gonna take you with
Yep.
a big truck.
Yeah, actually, so the contractor actually plows with the loader. He has just a 12-foot blade with the loader, and then he has the plow truck with the wing, and the loader plows more than what that plow truck does, just because of how that plow truck is pretty much set up. It's a little tougher and visibility wise, and it really isn't. Nope. So another piece of equipment, plow truck by far is, if we want to get serious about it, that's what we should purchase. Another piece of equipment that would work is a loader, articulating wheel loader, which is what the contractor uses, and he really does plow circles around the plow truck. So the loader, you can get a front plow for it, side wing, push blade for cul-de-sacs and Highway 25. You've probably seen it like airports, they have push blades and everything on their front end loaders, and they can plow the whole width of the runway and everything, and they can move a large amount of snow in a really short period of time. So a push blade would be very handy to have. Loading snow, a 40-yard bucket versus a 1-yard snow bucket on just a standard skid loader. You can move snow and material faster and more efficiently than a typical skid loader. It's the horsepower and the weight, it's just a different machine. So, So, yeah, there's that. And then,
So
the
this
price,
is an option, a second option.
the
You
second
do
option,
this with
yeah.
the other one.
No, well.
Oh, I read that as both. I read it as both.
No, if
Oh.
this could come later, you know, if once we get into it, I mean, yeah, if we had a loader and a plow truck, I get wow.
Oh.
It's like, we'll have some fun.
Am I the only one that read it as both?
That's,
I went to this I thought you needed both.
oh, nope.
All right.
I'll take both.
Am I the only one?
I didn't really have any,
Yeah.
no, I didn't really have any opinion.
You're not the only, Greg I talked to Greg this morning, he thought the same thing you did, so I wanted to make that clear that it's either one or the other.
I talked to Kyle about it before
Yeah,
Okay.
and asked him some questions.
yep. So, but we'll take both. We can really plow some snow
So
with
what do
both.
you really need? That's a lot of money.
So, and they make different sizes and stuff, and then, depending on what size you get and what type of equipment you get, prices really can range from $100,000 to $200,000 depending on the size. Buying used, I would actually really consider buying a used one just because this equipment is built to run for hours. I mean, having a one with 1,000 hours on it is just getting broken in. So, and typically, I know another city I know, they bought actually I'll get going on that, I'm gonna bring up a loader tractor backhoe. They bought a loader tractor backhoe for a really reasonable price, and they only had a few hundred miles or a few hundred hours on it, so compared to even what state bid could do. And the typical lifespan on the loader, most cities, if they buy them new, they'll trade them off every 15, 20 years. So, but there's loaders, like the current loader that's plowing our streets has 4,000 hours on it, and it's definitely over, I think it's like a 06 or an 04 or something like that, so it still works good. So here's kind of a couple pictures of a front end loader. Here's one with the side wing, blade on front. So this could be able to plow our streets, you know, just like a plow truck could. The only difference is it doesn't salt, and there's no belly blade to really scrape the roads clean like a plow truck would. And visibility is very nice in one of these. But also, getting one that's the right size, if we really want one that plows our streets, we would definitely be looking around $200,000 for it, just because we definitely need a bigger one with snow tires to be able to handle not getting pushed all the way around on the road, because they definitely don't handle the front, especially with the wing on it. They'll definitely want to push the front end, unlike a truck. So, and then here's one with the push blade. For cul-de-sacs and clearing downtown, that would be huge. So another piece of equipment, just because I'm talking about it anyway, so I'll throw it in there. I'm not considering purchasing all of them at once, though. So, tractor loader backhoe, you can get a push blade and angle blade for it. You can still do Highway 25 and cul-de-sacs. It's not as, you know, it's heavier, more horsepower than a skid loader, able to move large amounts, you know, large amounts of material. Isn't able to load it as much as a front end loader, however, it is more versatile just because there is a backhoe attachment, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And the price would be around, for this type of loader, is usually around $100,000, $150,000 depending on size, and like I mentioned before, buying a used one would definitely be an option. We could probably get it for under $100,000 with a few hundred hours on it. But state bid, I'll talk about state bid in a minute here. So, getting to Nikki's question, this type of equipment can be used for just more than snow removal. So like a single axle plow truck, I mean, it's not, doesn't have the plow on it all the time. So in the summertime, emergency response, so we have water main breaks, storm damage, flooding. The water main breaks, you dig up the muck, you dig up the blacktop, and not having to have the contractor come in with additional equipment to haul the material. It's like we'd be there with the truck, ready to go, not having to use them. Storm damage, we have trees blow over in the parks. We had that a few times. Instead of hauling it all in the 550, making multiple trips, we can get a large majority of it into one dump truck. Flooding, I threw flooding in there just because, I mean, we haven't had flooding, hopefully, well, it's been a while now, but being able to, when sandbagging or whatever, being able to just run, get a load of salt, or not salt, but get a load of sand, bring it back to the shop, dump it, it's like just convenience of that. So yeah, cut down hauling costs. Compost site maintenance, right now we're collecting, well, I got the brush pretty much figured out, but the compost, we're collecting a lot of compost and we aren't really going anywhere with it. So having, that's a future, within the next year or two here, I'm gonna have to either we can do it ourselves, we would purchase a truck, otherwise I'll be in touch with the contractor to haul it to another compost site where they treat it and that sort of thing, but, so yeah, road patching, our roads are getting older, we require more patching. Being able to go get a full load of blacktop and doing our own blacktopping would be a possibility with the truck too. Stormwater pond maintenance, I threw stormwater pond maintenance in there because dredging the pond and the hauling costs of hauling out the material and that sort of thing. A single axle plow truck would definitely cut down on cost for that. And then park projects, shelters, volleyball courts, playground curbing, a few of that we've already done. Playground curbing, we had to haul out a lot of material that, especially in Westridge, and it took multiple trips with the 550. It would have pretty much cut that time in half, being able to use a bigger truck. Volleyball court, same thing. We moved a lot of material, but we could have hauled in a majority of our own, our own sand and that sort of thing, and rock and for drainage. And same with the shelter. We had to build up the shelter in Westridge Park. Had to haul in a lot of conduit, and we could have done that in-house as well instead of paying a contractor to do it. So the tractor loader backhoe, and this is for the articulating wheel loader too, besides just using it for snow removal. Compost site maintenance, currently we use a Bobcat to do pretty much all our compost site maintenance, piling the brush and turning the compost and that sort of thing, but it's only a 74 horsepower piece of equipment, and it only weighs 3,000 pounds, 5,000 pounds. Having a loader there, really, 10,000 pound loader with, a few hundred horsepower, you could really push the piles up and turn the piles and that sort of thing. So yeah, just a maintenance standpoint from that. And even hauling playground material, we get playground material, loading a truck with that, and just having a second set of muscle besides the skid loader would be a huge benefit. And then the backhoe attachment is kind of the tractor loader backhoe. Stormwater pond maintenance, the in and outlet structures. We actually bought a little backhoe attachment last year for the skid loader, and it has been, I've used it on more things than I ever could have thought. It was really financially feasible to get one for the skid loader, at least the one we got. So like digging the curbing and everything we were able to do in-house. And then just there's a couple of outlet structures where I was able to get to with it, and I was able to kind of dredge around it and dig the sediment up and kind of just take care of it a whole lot easier. So having a loader backhoe attachment, it can reach much further, it can dig much deeper, and it can work much faster than what a skid loader could. So having that backhoe attachment would be huge. And we have the pumps and capabilities like the smaller ponds where we could potentially drain them and dredge them ourselves with this piece of equipment. So, and then also manhole repair, catch basin repair. Pretty much in the old part of town, a lot of them are failing, the structures are failing, and it's about $5,000 per manhole when I get it fixed, if we replace the rings and that sort of thing. So being able to dig down a couple feet, do it ourselves, repack it, would save a lot of time and effort as well as trying to track down a contractor to do it. And also park projects, kind of what I mentioned before, curbing, being able to dig that, shelters, skating rink, volleyball court, future trails. I know getting the trails prepped and ready to go, we could be able to go out there with this, backhoe attachment, dig down, come back, put a base in. I mean, doing more things in-house, is a lot more cost-effective than contracting them out all the time. So new versus used. So I'm sure a few of you have driven through St. Bonnie in the last couple of weeks and see that nice plow truck sitting out there. So I took a picture of it. I was going to put it in here, but I didn't have time. So new versus used. So you never know where you're getting yourself into. So this is you never know how it was maintained. My grandpa always says he always buys a brand new truck because he never wants a used truck because it's always someone else's problem. There's a reason why they got rid of it. So was it properly maintained? What type of work was it being used for prior to being sold? I know City of Montrose bought a used tandem truck, and I know the City of Watertown bought a used tandem truck, and they sunk just as much money into the used piece of equipment as they would buying a brand new piece of equipment. So they're higher risk of breaking down too when you need them the most. You never know, you can do all your routine maintenance, but typically, especially on trucks, old snow removal trucks, the transmission is the first thing to go. The truck may not have only like 16,000 miles on it. But the backing up.
Snow removal stuff.
What's that?
You can't really rent snow removal. So if you break down,
right.
It's not like you can't.
Yep, and that's why having the newer, then you got the warranties, you got the potential for a loaner and that sort of thing when you buy new. So
We ran into that. So we bought new.
So, state bid prices, especially on like wheel loaders and tractor loader backhoes, like John Deere and Cat, they offer up to like a 40% discount to municipalities, to state and government agencies to buy their equipment. So we're getting a 40% discount off retail prices. Same like when we buy trucks, when we buy the skid loader, that sort of thing.
So when you had the 220 for the single plow truck, was that
That's state bid.
factoring in the
Yep.
40%?
Yep, that is state bid
So
price. I'm not
it's a
sure, I looked.
$380,000 truck.
Right, yeah, it could potentially be, if a contractor would go to buy it, it could potentially get up to 400,000.
All right.
Yep. So,
So that's
the state bid price, you get the warranties, and you end up paying the retail price on used equipment. Some, depending on the vendor or whatever, you could get, a discount, but all the state bid prices are, consistent throughout. So, buying that truck in St. Bonnie, we'd have to pay full price, so we won't get a discount because we're a city. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say by that. So, and if the piece of equipment breaks down, you would have the option possibly to receive a loaner depending on where you get the truck built. So if something happens or it needs to go on for warranty work for a couple weeks, we could possibly work something out to be able to have a loaner on hand. So purchasing equipment takes around a year to receive a truck after it's been ordered. Loader typically comes faster. I haven't really dug into this a whole lot. Just judging based on ordering skid loaders and stuff, it should come within a few months if we were to order a loader. The city could bond for the piece of equipment, but the city already does budget $20,000 for snow removal. So we could put that budget, we could put that money towards purchasing a truck, so it wouldn't raise taxes at all. Now we have 435 fund, the 405 fund, which is for Public Works Fund, and then other investments. I don't know if Maggie might be able to touch a little bit more on that later, but, or if you're like, Kyle, we love your presentation, but we're just not ready, you can budget and save for future purchase too. So purchasing equipment, here's another, I did a 15-year replacement. Took our numbers from the beginning slide, since 2004 to 2018. Took our totals, here's our totals, what we explained before. So I took the same amount, what we budgeted, divided it by the, 225 was the price of a truck, divided it by, the 14 years, 15 years. Got $15,000, it'll cost us, consistently it'll cost us $15,000 every year to do our own snow removal if that was on a 20-year replacement. And if we do the same thing and take the State Highway 25 revenue and put it towards purchasing the truck, that truck would cost us $152,377. And then the budgeted amount, there's $137,000 that we wouldn't have had to budget for.
So you're, can you go back?
Yep.
Okay, so you're saying that if we bought the truck, we'd be paying $15,000 a year. Well, right now we budget 20.
Yep, we budget
So
20,
you're really
and then we're
saving-
kind of playing the guessing game, because the contractor's hourly, so we never know how much snow we're gonna get.
Right, but on
So-
an average.
On it, yeah, yep. Yeah, on
Factor wages in there, or is it just straight cost of the truck?
straight cost of the truck, and then the wages, I didn't figure in, because our wages are pretty much figured in already, because we're here just as long as the contractor's here, and I don't predict, we might be here a couple hours longer than the contractor, depending on, how things
You guys
go.
are still working when
We're
the
still working when
contractor's
the
here,
contractor's
so we're
here.
paying your wages
Regardless
and
already.
regardless, 'cause you're,
Correct. Yep. Once in a while, I'll give the contractor a 2-hour head start because he doesn't like it when I take work away from him. So I'll give him 2 head.
You really should use that total cost on what we've done, just because we budgeted 25, doesn't mean we spent it. Still money we have.
Right, I only put that in there because it's money we,
You know what I mean? So, even though it's 15,000 now for the truck, compared to 20,000, we didn't spend that 20,000. If you took our actual costs.
no, we didn't, but it's still,
7,000 last year is all we spent. The
oh,
year
right, 'cause you
before-
subtract
The year
out,
before, we only
got
spent
it.
10,000, year before 8,000, so you can't really,
right, well, if you take that same
I
thing, you take,
understand we budget, but we don't spend it, so it still gets,
right, it's just money we wouldn't have had to budget for, is what,
almost 90,000,
right, it's just money we wouldn't have had to budget for,
and we shouldn't have been.
right. And then same with the,
We shouldn't have been looking at this for the last 10 years on budgeting.
Well, I think we just stay consistent with the 20 grand because it's once in a while.
You just don't know. I mean, you can kinda
Yeah.
see it comes every couple of years, but.
That's what a
What's
reserve- that's what a
happening this
reserve's
year.
for. That's what a reserve's for. But I'm getting off track, so,
Right.
go on.
Okay.
Carry on, sorry.
So, yeah, I just put that in there 'cause, yeah, that's what money we potentially wouldn't have had to budget for. So, kinda what I put that in there for. But if we take the same thing and do it to the truck, we take 13 grand minus the 15, you know. So, and I did it also for a 20-year replacement. If you take care of a truck and you do the routine maintenance, the truck could last 20 years. In some cities, like the city of Watertown, just got rid of a truck that was 20 years old. So I put that in here as well. And I stayed consistent with what we've been budgeting. I just kind of predicted, and I took the average of what we spent over the last, 15, 14 years on snow removal, and I averaged it out, and I just kind of used that as a total. And then I also did the same for the revenue on Highway 25, so we potentially could be getting, about 5 grand back for the next 5 years also. So, with that being said, so in 20 years, we will have budgeted, potentially would have budgeted unless we change it, $462,500. And then we potentially could have spent, this is just, rough estimate for just, pulling numbers out of thin air pretty much, just taking the average, $369,000, and then we could receive close to $100,000 from revenue on Highway 25. So they ended up, we take the operating costs subtracted from the overall cost, that's $272,000 that we potentially might spend in 20 years, and then that's $93,000 that we didn't spend. And same with over here, when we take the truck and we divide the truck out by 20 years, that's 11 grand a year, operating costs, not including the fuel expense and that sort of thing, but that's the hard. No maintenance or anything like that. Right, yep. So, and then I did the same numbers and subtracted it, and so that's $237,000 potentially that we could have put, or that we possibly wouldn't have had to budget for. And then say if we take the $90,000 and subtract it from the $225,000, that truck would cost us around $128,000. But that money could also go, the fuel costs, fixing costs, I mean, that's, that could still fuel the operation. So other considerations, like what we've been talking about, increased fuel budget, we'll be paying for our own fuel, not sure how much it is, depends on how much it snows. So that's kind of a variable. We budget for fire trucks, we budget for everything else, so it'd be just kind of a year-to-year thing to see how much that would go up. I don't think it'd be anything drastic, but you'd never know. Another piece of equipment to take care of and do maintenance on. So another thing to think about, what if it breaks down? Is there a blackout plan? And just like other cities that do their own snow removal, it's pretty much the next band up. So it's like, we got the 550, we got the skid loader, we got the Kubota, we got the possibly utility truck if we budget and purchase that next year. Just another pickup with the plow on it. Then we can always rely on our neighbors. If something happens, we got Waconia, we got Watertown, we got cities all over around us that would definitely be willing to lend a hand. I meet with public works directors on a quarterly basis, and I kind of pick their brains about doing their own snow removal on that sort of thing. And they always say, especially Waconia, they're very, very open to using equipment or renting equipment, that sort of thing. So, and then routine maintenance is key for breakdowns and that sort of thing. We stay on top of our oil changes, on top of our, cutting edges and that sort of thing. That definitely helps with breakdowns. This is pretty much like watering the water and wastewater plants. It's all preventative maintenance. Local businesses capable of performing the work on heavier trucks, so that's nice. We got a couple of contractors or a couple of businesses in town that work on the lumberyards trucks and that sort of thing, so they're local and they're familiar with that sort of thing. So there'll be a little cost savings there. And then it's pretty much no different than other cities or contractors. Even the contractor right now, if both trucks break down, he has to get another piece of equipment in. So, what he's plowing with, they haven't broken down yet, so, and if they break down, they could still finish plowing and still come back and fix it later, so. And then this all goes within purchasing the right piece of equipment for the first time around is key. Getting that piece of equipment that's capable of doing the job right and doing a job, efficiently, and just purchasing piece of equipment that isn't prone to breakdown. So doing research and knowing what other cities run and operate, and even talking with the companies that build the trucks and that sort of thing, knowing which trucks are usually in there more often than other trucks, that sort of thing. And what if Public Works is shorthanded, on vacation, sick, et cetera? I mean, there's always a possibility. So I mentioned a little earlier, like St. Bonnie, they have a guy that comes in and runs the skid loader, potentially. A lot of contractors and excavators and stuff, they lay off their guys in the winter time, and they're just, you know, I've actually had a few stop by the shop and just ask me if they're, you know, if you're hiring a seasonal operator for snow removal. So there are definitely guys out there, you know, willing to do the work. Possibly you could ask, there's a bunch of excavators around. You have a local contractor on standby, even with the skid loader, if they just come in clear deal downtown or something, if we're shorthanded. I mean, we can always have that, look into that. And then just starting sooner, if you know you're shorthanded or something, start sooner, get in earlier, and get the job. It might take a little longer, but just get the job done. And it really is part of the job. 5 years I've been here, I haven't missed one snow removal. So.
You still do it while you're sick.
I do it all the time. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Even if quarter inch of sleet, I can honestly say I haven't missed one. So. And I know Jason said he hasn't missed one in Montrose. So. Yep. So what do other cities do? So I went on the Stanton survey, and the League of Minnesota Cities. The League of Minnesota Cities produced this survey, and I took their population, their by population and budget, similar cities to what we do, and I went through and I looked to see which ones do their own snow removal and which ones don't. So Spring Park doesn't, because I think they contract with Corno, from what I can tell. Yep, and then Lakeland and this Afton are, I believe, in the same area, and they have a local contractor that does it as well. But otherwise, Cologne does it. Cologne is probably, population-wise, well, budget-wise, they're a little bit more than us, but population-wise, they're actually smaller than us, and road-wise, I believe they're actually smaller than us too. And they have 3 full-time guys that do their own snow removal. Taka Bay has 2 guys that pretty much do the snow removal. Greenfield does their own snow removal. And then also, I got a couple other cities close by. Lester Prairie does their own. Howard Lake does their own. Waverly does their own. Even in Germany, they do their own. They got old loaders that they use, and they go out and clear all their streets. So we're one of the few that doesn't. So in my mind, it was such a good deal with the contractors. Why aren't other cities doing it? So why do it ourselves? Over the past 15 years, the average cost of snow removal has been $18,452. Hourly rates of contractors are on the rise, over 70% since 2013. We've budgeted $362,000 over the past 15 years. Not all of it's been spent, but it was still budgeted for. Highway 25 reimbursement can go towards funding equipment and the operation. City will have a better service while also gaining a piece of equipment. I don't want to knock the contractor at all, but just having the contractors here for 4 hours, they go home and their equipment just sits there. So we don't have access to that equipment unless it comes contractor in. So we'll clean up and do a few things with our equipment if we need to. But having that truck there, when you get a road that drifts shut, you go out there and hit it with the truck. Just having that flexibility would just be huge. The costs will remain the same no matter how much snow we get, just fuel costs and labor costs. Offer a new service to residents. City won't be paying a contractor for the service, and then also the resident demand for black, safe roads is high, and it really won't get any better until we invest in the proper equipment. Right now, I believe with us and the contractor, we're getting the streets cleared as efficiently as possible with what we have, but it could be improved. And the more Mare grows, the more demand for more services will increase. That's just a given with any population. We can haul snow off from cul-de-sacs, intersections, Highway 25, and honestly, all the people I talk, especially, well, not the old school Mare people, but all the new people, they really assume we have the equipment anyway when they call and complain that the city plowed them in or something like that, you know. So why do it ourselves? Again, quality of work. Public service staff knows the city better than anyone. So we won't pack hydrants, we won't pack mailboxes, intersections and sidewalks. Contractors, they kind of do it the most efficient way possible, where it really, depending on the time, it really doesn't matter. But coming in, opening the and prioritizing the streets for every snow event is huge. Having the the main drags open and salted. Once people see that, people in cul-de-sacs, they understand that they're gonna be towards the end. So, but as long as they can get out, they have one pass just so they can get out, and once they get to that main road, if that's nice and black, they're happy. So, knowing to prioritize the street, or prioritize streets is very important. And getting it curb to curb. If I have one thing with the contractor, it's not, they don't always get it to the curb, and we have to come back and get it to the curb. Not only for the residents, a lot of residents love getting it, they wanna see that curb, but just from a public works standpoint, if we get a melting event, all that water melts, and if that curb isn't exposed, it collects in the roads, becomes slippery, catch basins plug up, gotta go out there with the torch, it just kinda creates a whole nother thing. So efficiency, proper equipment's definitely able to plow curb to curb, spread salt in fewer passes, 24 to 40 a mile versus 48 miles. And no need to backtrack to clean intersections because we'd be able to clean them with one fluid motion. So response time and flexibility, the unexpected storms, I have like 4 weather apps, I TiVo all the weather forecasts, and I still wake up sometimes and there's 2 inches of snow on the ground. So then you wake up, it's like, oh crap, and then you call in the contractor, and it takes a little bit of time. Being able to just, get dressed, go to work, be there in 15 minutes, I could be plowing. That'd be huge in my mind. Can plow throughout the storm, no, we need to really wait until the end. So like the last snow event, look out the window, okay, 3 inches, go out, plow. Wait, go out, plow another 3 inches. Just having that flexibility and more, you have more time, and you're not at that you're at an hourly wait, but you're not, really paying for it. And then safer roadways and then emergency response. I've actually had the assistant chief call me a couple times and they had to get to a house, and then I had to go out there with the truck. And it's just, I got them there, but it would be nice to really get them there, really open up that road so they have all the room they need. We have the manpower. Public Works Department is growing. City now has 2 full employees instead of just 1, which is huge. Before they always had 1, and 1 you can do it. I've done it myself, a few times, but having 2 full employees, you definitely can do it. New Public Works building, also very good equipment we stored and worked on. Before it was always, we were stuck in the smaller building, we didn't have the room for it. Winter months are typically slower than the summer months, so we have the time to do the work. And we really, keeping employees involved and busy, there's only really so many times you can sweep the floor and that sort of thing. Just having that responsibility and that, I don't know, I want to say pressure, but that isn't really the word I'm looking for either. Just having that responsibility that, okay, let's get this city open and let's get these streets plowed, that's, have a little more pride in your work. I'm trying to say something, I can't freaking think of how I want to word it, but, as the city grows and the infrastructure starts to age, your need for more routine maintenance and equipment is going to increase. That's just typically, more rundown things you get, the more, routine maintenance and the proper equipment you're gonna need to fix it, so like road patching and that sort of thing. We started spreading our salt in-house back in 2014. It's been a big improvement, mainly because we moved to a treated salt, and also because we can salt how we want and regulate how we want, and it's been, I think it's been a huge improvement, especially since the first and second year I've been here, so. Save the city a significant amount of money instead of paying the contractor 2-hour minimum every time we have to salt. We definitely have more of the half-inch snow events and the sleet events and everything than the 6-inch snow events and that sort of thing. So being able to come in and do that has been huge. And then a single axle plow truck will be able to salt alongside an F550, the F550 that the city has. So having 2 trucks out there salting and plowing, we'd be able to move some snow pretty quickly. And the reduced salt use, flexibility. Flexibility, quicker response times result in less snow and ice-packed roads. So we have a mechanic, we can mechanically remove it after every snow event. Freshwater Society, they say even half-inch, quarter-inch. If you got salt or if you got snow on the road, if you can mechanically remove it and then apply salt, that's the best way to do it. Mayor's kind of old school and it's kind of 1 inch or less, or 1 inch or more. We go out and plow, but it's kind of becoming less of the desired option, I guess. Then the brine application too would absolutely reduce salt use. Contractors, lack of contractors willing to do the work creates less competition and results in higher prices, which we're kind of seeing. We only have 1 contractor bid on it. the last time that we, sent it out for bid. Don't all have the proper equipment needed to plow the streets efficiently in today's society. I've only put that in there. Contractor isn't gonna go out and buy a $400,000 plow truck just to plow a street, and not get the bid the next year. We can't really expect a contractor to do that. Contractor's gonna use the equipment that he has year round that he uses. The demand for perfection requires more micromanaging. No one likes to be micromanaged, so I'm not gonna go and tell the contractor, don't push snow here, push snow that way, push snow this way. It's like, that's kinda, if we wanted to improve, that's kinda how we need to, what we would need to do. There would be no need to oversee contractors or ever send snow plowing bids, so we don't have to deal with that. Possibility in the near future, the city won't be able to find a contractor. I know the contractor is currently doing, is getting closer to retirement, and I'm not sure if his son who's gonna take it over is gonna wanna do it. So, the city could advertise for bids and not end up getting anybody, and then we'd be kinda stuck without the truck and that sort of thing. So I'm just trying to look towards the future with this whole thing. And possibly my favorite is the guessing game. Currently, that's the thing I stress over the most is, okay, we're getting 3 inches of snow tonight. When is it supposed to stop? When should I call the contractor in? All that stuff, and when is the most efficient time, and being fiscally responsible at the same time, and having the contractor do it. So just being able to be like, okay, let's go plow. We're in plowing within 15 minutes. So why do it ourselves? Mayor, no longer small town mayor really. I think actually we've just cracked, we're over 2,000 people. And then this the current prediction, city population prediction. We've added 0.9 miles of roadway and 1 cul-de-sac in the last 3 years. Could be adding an additional 0.43 miles of roadway and 2 cul-de-sacs next year. Actually, we just see with possibly adding public Hidden Creek or Coldwater 8th edition. And Mayor is the only city in Carver County that doesn't handle snow removal. We're really one of the few that doesn't handle snow removal. And lastly, it's always going to snow. So that work is always going to be there, and eventually we're going to have to bite the bullet and do something. So that is all I got. That was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I wanted to give you guys as much facts as possible.
Yeah, you did a lot of
Well,
very thorough.
information, yeah.
It's been on my mind. Like I said, I've always, every time I'm out plowing, I'm always thinking of ways. So
So we have enough storage,
yep.
because I thought we were getting tight on the building more than it is.
No, I know when we purchase the building, I want to make sure we get a truck in there, and I want to make sure we can get another vehicle in there as well. So especially if I were to lose this building, I would be able to manage to get everything in there that I need to get in there. So with this building, I got plenty of room.
With a new truck.
With a new truck.
Like an F-150.
Yep. Just a.
Even if you lose this building.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Yep. So.
And then my only other concern, I think there's some variables that aren't in there.
Right.
Some of the numbers are missing, but I think you did a great job. I also see how tired you are when you have a snow event, and I wonder if
A little coffee helps with that.
it's not a big deal, and then, you guys take care of the treatment plant. And that's my only other kind of thought right now, I'm concerned about is, do we have enough staff? Can we do it?
Well, I don't know how that changes if they spend are you spending your time working with him? I mean,
Yeah.
you're getting up just as early, you're out there
Yeah, yep.
working side by side with them.
Yep.
So it's,
Yeah, I'm pretty much just overseeing what they're doing, and then one of us is clearing the parking lots, which the parking lots,
they'll be up earlier.
can kind of wait until the end, but I really don't think, because with this plow truck, we'd be able to do what the contractor does with 2 pieces of equipment. So that's pretty much all I.
You say there's room for what, all 3 pieces you just
Well,
proposed?
For sure, I could get the plow truck for sure, another single axle, or just a regular F-150 for sure, and then the tractor load backhoe we'd be able to get into. Yep.
So what are things you want to purchase in 2019?
All of them. No, just kidding.
Oh.
If we
So, like, if we were gonna do our
seriously
own snow removal for 2019, next year, and 2020, what would you need budgeted to make that happen? What would you need, like, minimum?
Well, if we say to go ahead with the plow truck, the next step would be to go and get prices on what a plow truck is gonna cost. These are just rough figures of what a plow truck is gonna be. So it could come in cheaper. depending on what truck we go with. So,
So the plow truck and then the current F-550 we have,
and the skid loader would be able to handle our own snow removal with that piece of equipment. The two pieces of equipment we currently got, all we need really now is just a big blade to move snow quickly and efficiently. So, but I just threw the loader tractor backhoe I threw in there just because from just a overall like yearly use, that would be a very useful piece of equipment. So I just kinda threw that in there because it would help with the snow removal eventually.
I think we're better staggering the pieces.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
not purchasing all of them,
Replace them both.
baby
Time
steps, so.
explain what each piece of equipment does. Like a 2.5 ton truck would just do your main road.
Right.
You know, that does roads. Your pickup does your cul-de-sacs and parking lots. Your skid loader does your trails and downtown. I mean, if you break it out that way, the 2.5 ton truck, that does the bulk of your problem.
Yeah.
That is the number one piece of equipment that we have. The pickup is secondary.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's a great presentation. Me personally, I think we need to start moving this way, and we should be going that way.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd like to see a little more, maybe some better numbers on what it would cost for a
Okay.
truck personally.
Yeah.
I think, based on the numbers, it seems we should be going this way.
Mhm.
Plus the advantages, I do get concerned with the contractor, we also not having a contractor.
Mhm.
And now that I'm seeing it's a year for a truck, but
Yeah.
I still am in my head going back and forth between new and used.
Yeah.
Now, I don't necessarily think so used that it's really at its life and, you know, I don't even know what that one in Bonnie, where that is in that life cycle,
Yeah.
but, I mean, there's gotta be some in there that are only 5 years old or, you know,
There are, and there are, some cities, you can buy the single axle dump truck,
I'd like
and then
to
you can
know.
outfit it with the plow equipment.
I'd like to know some of that. I'd like to
Yeah.
see if you can find one. Yep, this is something I would say yes and see what the price is, you know.
Right, yeah.
Do a comparison. And maintenance, I'd like to see what maintenance is.
Yeah, I can call,
You talk to maintenance.
other cities and stuff and see what they kinda,
You know, how often do they do tires? Is it every
Yep.
5 years? What's that gonna cost, you know? for
Right.
That maintenance, I'd like to see some of the
Okay.
numbers, but
yeah, absolutely,
I personally, I think we should go this way.
yeah.
I think it's a big advantage to the community.
Mhm.
Anyone else, any other comments, questions? Do you want him to move forward and start seeing what a truck would cost? Is it worth doing? Do we wanna see other numbers?
I'd like to see what it'd be for the cost and then start looking at it for budget next year.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm not sure what I know Maggie would touch base on what we'd have to budget for. I mean, we could talk about it, but most likely it'd be a bond.
How is it set with the state? Do we do it hourly? We send in hours and get reimbursed from
Yeah.
the state?
Yep, so the
Does that
contractors,
fluctuate? Do they say how much it's gonna be? Do we tell them how?
contractor sends in their hourly rate, and that's what they pay. So I kinda wanna get a little more clarification on
So,
that, so it's like,
yeah.
how much can we, what hourly rate can we,
Well, does the
get?
state change their hourly rate? Does that go up every year? Do we know?
As far as I know, the contractor fills out their hourly rate, and they send it in and they approve it or not. It's kinda
And
what,
then they send us a check,
yep, yep.
so we know how many dollars an hour. Does that increase, Maggie, do you know?
If, yeah, well, it's like, so the contractor charges, I forget what it is, $156 per hour for the skid loader. And that's what, so they get a sheet
Oh, so they just reimburse whatever they say?
for whatever they say,
Yeah,
right.
that makes sense, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, absolutely.
Well, what about your hours? How do your hours get factored in there, or don't they?
If we do it, then they do.
Or you, I
That-
was
that-
under the impression you helped.
Yeah, if I help, then we charge pretty much the same amount.
Oh, you send
Yeah,
that in
yeah,
also.
we'll just send that same hourly rate in, that's what we
Perfect.
charge, since that's the one that got approved,
Yep, yep,
so.
fair enough, okay,
Mhm.
all right. Yeah, great, thank you.
Yeah, no, I just, I mean, yeah, my personal opinion, I love to have the truck, but I mean, just from a public works standpoint, I felt like you guys really needed to know what we were spending and what it would look like if we were to purchase a truck, so.
Truck is, I think it's the way to go.
Mhm.
People who like to plow snow like to plow snow.
Yeah.
It's in their blood. And they don't care if they're up all night.
Well,
That's why Nate can drive 24 hours, and I drive 2.
oh, yeah. That's part of it. You know, I like to work, I like running equipment, so.
All right, anything else for Kyle? All right, thank you.
No problem.
All right, let's go to, the preliminary draft budget.
Okay.
Why?
Now we get to the important stuff, we're all done.
We'll get to it.
Okay, so, as you know, the breakdown of the budget, we're focusing on general fund right now, which is supported by property taxes, state and permits, other fees and funds. So, this is just a schedule, we're on schedule to, at the next meeting to adopt the preliminary levy. As you know, following the adoption of the council, the preliminary levy is lowered, not raised. So, we're just kind of coming in with, you know, what we think things would be at, with numbers lower. Okay, so based on kind of like our, CIP discussion, you know, there's studies we've done this year. I just wanted to show a couple or charts showing expenditure overview. For 2018, in 2018, our budget, amount for the general fund was 1,075,000 about roughly. So, 2019, I'm proposing two options. One is with capital. So we gotta start putting in away money to start funding our capital projects. So, one with the one with capital would, change our budget to 1,208,408, so a little bit over 146,000. And then without, it would be, this is factoring in just kind of, this increases, it does include, I did include in this, like, high, you know, just changes, like, kind of in trends, but then also benefits. So I did include that. I know we're gonna get to benefits and we can always lower it, but with the preliminary levy, we have to kind of budget high and then pull low. So-
For the capital, what are, that's like the roads that we've talked about, the water.
To build that fund, it would be more for like our roads and other capital projects.
Like that big water tower one?
The water tower would actually be out of the,
No.
enterprise
This
fund.
is the sewer and the water treatment capital plan. Are
Those
those
are-
included, or are those separate, the
This
enterprise
is
funds?
separate.
Okay.
This is more like
Yep.
roads and replacement, like vehicles, like stuff that, kind of we haven't been budgeting for, we've more been kind of, we've been kind of doing like, oh, we need this, let's levy for it this year. So it's kind of building up that fund, starting to build up that fund. I'm talking with Ellery right now, so it's kind of, they're coming to a future meeting to discuss kind of our future forecast. So, you know, what it looks like. Like, this would include, you know, if we do a fire station, you know, we gotta start putting away, you know, for our streets or with the fire station if we are going to do bigger projects. Which we haven't had a capital fund that we've been,
So
we
they're
have a
gonna-
capital fund, but we haven't been levying for capital, like as a side, to start building a fund to start putting in these projects.
So would this be any capital, park board, fire department, streets, everything?
Yeah.
Okay, so all our,
That would be our.
Is that what other cities do, or?
Yeah, yep, so, I mean, this
Cause
kind of,
I feel like we have money in funds that doesn't get used ever.
And Eller's is gonna talk about that.
And are they gonna talk about all our investments?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
so they're gonna come in and they're gonna talk about kind of, like, based on the money that we have put aside, what we need to start putting aside as well for these projects.
Okay.
So they're gonna explain all that. So from what they have told me, they're kind of like, okay, this is how much we think we should put aside based on what we've looked at so far. So that's where that 110 comes from, because we really need to start putting things aside, especially if we're gonna start to do a street
how is it, why is it a $200,000 difference?
So this is from last year.
No, I mean, those two right there.
It's about a $140,000 difference.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
One is with
You're right,
capital,
my
one
math
is
is
without
wrong.
capital.
Okay.
So if you look from 2018 to the one without capital, it's only and that, like I said, that includes the benefits, which we can always lower based on okay, so revenue, this just kind of shows where revenues in 2018 came from. Like I said, it probably has to do with like insurance, grant fees, we did get a little bit of an increase in our health subsidies, so and then our fire contract is covered. So with capital and without capital, it shows that, that the property taxes does go up, quite a bit with capital, or the percentage, we don't really set tonight yet, so I don't know what it's gonna be like. But it just shows a part of the pie that so, we've already kind of talked through like all these changes, so, we did the admin study, we did, we're anticipating public works, like, moving to the public works secretary position, other budget considerations, like insurance, switching to plan, working through the benefit structures, also possibly adding on and then fire department, I know at the personnel committee right now, we were talking about, potential wage changes. And then, we still have to figure out if the capital fund piece it'll be $100,000. Cause like I said, ours is coming with their, long-term plan that includes some of their capital items as well. So that might change. Parks, we have some items coming up. Their budget is generally around 70,000. There were just a few changes, so it's, right now it's went up to 74, and then there's a few, things for public works, usually a public works vehicle, lawnmower purchase, and then vehicle utility purchase. Law enforcement would stay the same, the numbers there, it's at $87,000. And then the Metro drug task force. So, what does it all mean? So, if you look at the debt service fund from last year, we were at 510,932. That's where all our debt that we had before. It's actually down 6.4% because we were able, when that rate study to get some of our, sewer debt service lowered, through that study. And then also our fire station, 719 is our last payment for that, and so that's a lower price as well. And then the non-vote goes down a little bit. So
What do you mean by fire station? That's a property? Or is that our fire station now?
That's our current fire station.
Yeah, we must be still making payments on it,
Right.
so it'll be paid off.
Our last year.
That's not the property, that's the actual fire station.
Yeah. So our debt levy is actually down, going down, but then if you look at our, levy, okay, so the the general levy, or the total levy for 2018 ended up being $991,000. So that's taking out our local government aid and all of our other levies. So our general levy after all those other revenues is $481,000. Plus that debt levy is that total amount. So if you go to 2019 with capital, our debt service levy is lower, but our general levy will be higher because we would be capital, like adding that 110,000, we would be at 49.8%. We would actually be decreasing our tax levy percentage, and then without the, capital, it would be 43.9%. What does that mean? How does this compare to other cities? We're kind of on the lower end, like 10 lower, if you look at other cities better.
But that's 'cause our values have increased, so we
Yeah,
take a small,
so we have had a 12.11% increase, market value increase for our residential properties. So what that means is that, okay, so let me do some math here. So if your house was worth $300,000 last year, you paid at that 50.61% rate, you paid $1,467 instead of 3.3. If your house, well, okay, so if you go down though, that your house actually with a 12.11% increase would now be at an actual market rate of $329,000 this year. So that's how it's changing, you know, for properties like Queens. If your house actually stayed at 300,000, which it didn't, this is just for somebody whose house got raised to 300,000, just shows that if your house was at 300 still, that your tax rate would actually go down $600 with the 49.8%. But in actuality, if your house, the house market value went up 12.1%, your taxes go up. Even though we would be lowering our tax rate to 49.6%, you still see an increase of $600 because your taxable market value went up that much. Does that make sense? So, yeah, so I just wanted to give you kind of right now what the preliminary tax rate I'm kind of showing. I wanted to get your thoughts though. Because I am kind of throwing the 49.8% here, and then the 42.90. Like I said, it kind of goes, you know, into starting to invest in that capital, and then if we don't do that, just have these 42. So, the next steps are to approve a preliminary levy for next meeting. Just tell me, I would suggest going higher, and then maybe diving in a little bit more if we really want, when we get those.
that's what we did last year.
So, even though so, any questions?
So nobody thinks we need separate budget meetings, just to talk about the budget, even before we do this preliminary tax levy.
Is that a question or a comment?
I feel like we haven't gone in as much detail as we have in the past, coming into at least the preliminary. Now, last year, I don't think we really did as much either, 'cause it was like the
Sure.
transition time.
Yeah, and I did include kind of the different line items, kind of looking some, you know, if there's any changes that you, or questions that you have, on those line items so far, or any areas you would like to see increase, increase more the next meeting.
But I would rather set our preliminary where it is with like all our wishes, and then really dig in after that and spend the time instead of spending the time now and then having to spend it again before December. That's,
That's really not all the wishes, that's just,
well, not wishes, but like,
we're planning just for the infrastructure improvements, or not even improvements, just the maintenance that we need to do. That doesn't include fire stations,
oh, true, I worded it wrong, sorry about that.
No, I agree, we need to plan, we probably need to set it for 49, just because we know that we have projects that are coming down. talking water towers, fire stations, and plowing equipment.
Well, that's what,
And we can't raise it after we.
Yeah.
can't raise it, but that's what we did all these studies for, we should be factoring in all that, I agree, I think we should be setting it this high. That's why we did all this stuff, so we could properly plan. Now, when we get there, we may realize, you know what, this is just too high, we do have to trim it down some, you know, and slow it, but I agree, I think we should go with the highest with the capital and send it in.
And I apologize, it's just kinda like how all the studies have been flowing in, and just kind of trying to get it all, like based on, I think we had like three or four studies at the last meeting, and so taking in what we had from that meeting and trying to put it in here, typically before, choosing stuff.
No, I would say you've done a fantastic job in the studies, letting us know what is needed. So
And you're right, they're coming so late in the year now that we're into it, but I think we should be going on that higher one and
Yeah, and we can always
trim it down if
what
need be.
Eller comes back with for long term, and maybe the capital,
I mean, I just wanna look at the whole financial picture of the city.
right, and they'll,
Like,
and
in
they'll be
everything, and
able
what's the point of 5 million in these mutual accounts, like investments? I'm not saying we need to go and spend all that money by any means. I just wanna understand is, when I budget for my family, I put money aside for my retirement, but I know I'm gonna spend it. Right now, we have nothing earmarked.
Yeah, and
Like, what is healthy about, I know it's healthy 'cause like, if the economy crashes and our home values drop again,
And I think he also said it has to do with like credit rating, like if you wanna keep a
Oh.
good credit rating, you gotta keep.
right,
different
exactly, but
Reserve and, but
He
he'll
gave
go
us those
with that.
numbers, those healthy numbers last time, and that's pretty much what we went by, and that's the easy loan, and we're able to put some more investments in so that we didn't have too much sitting out there in the general fund, and
yeah, I'd just like to see more about it, 'cause I thought that was more cash. Like, when we
Yeah,
talked
no.
about it, was like, what we actually in cash, not in investments, and I don't know if
I think it all gets lost, is the problem, we don't
Yeah.
earmark it properly.
Well, and
You know,
he's saying,
this year, we're gonna start saving an extra $10,000 every year for turnout gear. So every year, we have to budget for that to get to 100,000 in 10 years. So every year, all of a sudden, it's just gonna go
Yeah.
and just disappear into a big pile, and we never know where it's truly earmarked for. I mean, we never know on those when we transfer.
Yeah, 'cause there's
anything.
things that change here, so
Yeah, and we just
you lose
don't
that.
mark it good, but I agree, I think we need to know all that, we need to know where should we be sitting, how much extra do we have here,
and he said he would go.
and use some of it. I don't know, I think we go with the higher, personally, with the capital, that's what would be intended.
And I'd rather
all these
really
things
dig
were.
into it and lower it if we need to.
Be fiscally responsible, if that's what we have to do to get us back to, get what we need to, from what's coming in to what's going out, and
so that's the highest number, for sure that we don't need a higher number.
I don't think so, I think based on the advice I've been given.
But that would not include if we started snow removal next year.
I mean, it could, that's the whole thing too, is we can figure out exactly the timeline. I mean, that's part of what I was gonna ask others too, is if Kyle wanted to know how far we can look like for the process.
Right,
so you wouldn't start for a year, until you take it a year later, we won't even get it for a year, and then you start making your payment on it. So it wouldn't be for 2019 at all.
I know one suggestion was, I think we have,
We budget 20 grand a year already, so
so,
to lower that, or is it a 10-year payment, or leave it, pay it off in 10 years?
yeah, we can always like, if we have to go to bonds or anything else, I don't know what, but, yes, I mean, we can always tie it in.
Okay, I just,
So,
I think, for me, I don't think we can take we have to plan for this stuff appropriately and then adjust it as needed. We can't take everything on at once, all these studies, all the increases in water, all the increases in sewer,
right.
all these things, I mean, we know we're gonna have to piecemeal and work, but at least we're getting the tools and we're getting in the right direction versus to what's happened where we've had to build things and not have things we're just planning for future council and the residents. We'll have to tweak it for sure. There's no way we can take it all on. we're saving another, there's no way we could.
Yeah, there's a lot of, we need to prioritize.
Right. All right, anything else, anything more with that, Maggie? All right, then we'll adjourn. We are adjourned.